Hey, what's up, everybody? This is going to be an analysis video on Guilty Gear Strive. This is going to be very informal, just kind of a fireside chat of what we think of the game and the characters so far. And we're just going to kind of go through the roster and give our final thoughts on the characters so far and our final thoughts on what we think of the very small number of 15 characters that showed up in this game so far. And then we're going to probably talk about just general Strive stuff, predictions, and character wish list, and that's kind of the thing I'm looking forward to the most. And with me right now is Shad. How you doing, Shad?
Hi, I'm not bad.
Sweet.
I'm excited to be offering my final thoughts on a game I've never actually talked to this particular audience about before.
Yeah, this is kind of a first. We've never Guilty Geared on the Nethercast channel.
Nope, not so much.
And I think that's kind of the theme of Strive, is this is kind of an explosive moment in the history of Guilty Gear. A lot of people are kind of, obviously you're not, you've been Guilty Gear forever, but a lot of people are kind of entering this world for the first time, and that's not what prompted the episode. I was going to do this shit anyway, because I love Guilty Gear, but this is going to be a lot of things are happening at the same time is what I mean, in terms of people discovering the game, in terms of the game changing, as far as the historical Japanese netcode that's in the game, that's a very big topic of discussion. There's just, Guilty Gear has never been in this place before, and it's super, super cool, but it's also super weird. Like I said to the audience, this is informal, so there will be mistakes, and hopefully at least they'll be funny. But let's get started with our first character.
All right.
We are looking at Soul Bad Guy. No, we're not. Now we are looking at Soul Bad Guy. How about you get started? Because I don't know if I have a lot to say about Soul Bad Guy.
He sure is Soul Bad Guy.
He wears red. He has for a long time. He's got short hair, but also long hair. Okay, here's the thing. I like Soul a lot. I like Soul a lot on paper. I like his backstory. I like his lore. I think his design's okay. I don't know how I feel about the sleeves, man. But I love, like, his character choices, too. Like, he's a guy who's typically in a lot of pain, but he's dealing with it the best he can. And I think his relationships are super good, too. I love the fucking Top Gun shit with Kai. I love that. So why don't I want to play this character, right? What's up?
I've never actually thought of it in terms of a Top Gun relationship. That's completely what it is.
Oh, it's hella. And I love it. And, because, God, they are bros. And it's so fun to watch them interact with each other, right? Especially when you can, yeah?
It's been really fun watching their relationship evolve.
Like
you said, I've been with the series more or less since the very first X. I was aware of it before then, thanks to tips and tricks and game magazines and stuff, but I could never find a copy back in the day. And I remember actually in the fucking early 2000s seeing that EB Games had a particular EB Games in fucking Ottawa had a copy of X in on PS2. And it was the only one in a huge radius. So I'm like, Dad, now that, we're going to Ottawa to see Grandma, do you mind making a 20-minute detour so I can buy a video game? So yeah, that's when I first started. And see, their relationship, like we're talking about, it was very adversarial at first, but it's been interesting watching them, kind of develop this, the standard anime grudging respect for each other, and now they've actively got each other's backs, and there's some hilarious shit that happens in XR that I absolutely love. There's some great stuff there. So so I can see where you're coming from now. It's totally a Top Gun relationship now. They're bros. They're such bros.
And we said this before we started recording. We were going to be not completely spoiler free, but we were going to be conservative with spoilers. We weren't going to bring up big Revelator moments. But with Kai and Soul, I mean, if you've seen Revelator, there's one that comes to mind, obviously, and it ends in screaming, and it's one of my favorite moments in the story mode.
Yes.
God, it's so good. The stuff with
they're
Sin.
tiptoeing around it, and it's like, oh God, does this mean? Is it possible? Do we have to? Ark.
It's part of the tonal qualities of Guilty Gear where they're able to capture all these frequencies without it not working, which Hideo Kojima used to be able to do before he completely lost it. Yeah, so for our audience, we're not going to spoil anything big. We're going to, the only thing we can't avoid is moral alignments, right? We have to talk about who's good and who's evil, and who's not evil anymore, and who's kind of sort of evil, but with the gray, right? So I think it's definitely tempted with Soul because that's where a lot of the best stuff is, but it's this philosophical question of why do I not want to play as him? Why do I love all these things about Soul, but I can't pick him on the select screen? That's what I've always kind of wrestled with, right?
Well, how do you feel about Ryu?
I actually love Ryu. I just played a set with Ryu about a couple of weeks ago. That's before he got patched recently, when he was still kind of bad. I think he's okay, honestly. But I love Ryu.
He's okay. I feel like that's going to be a lot of people's perspectives towards the face character of the series.
That's the paradox, though. I like Soul so much better than Ryu. Ryu's a homeless man. But I would rather play Ryu than Soul. I don't... It's...
Soul in general has always been a kind of like... He's good to pick up the game with, but there are just always more interesting options out there. I like playing as him for, like, you know, the kind of wacky Shotogan off-the-rails qualities he has. Same as Kai, but in different ways.
Maybe. I think with a lot of Guilty Gear characters, until you kind of operated them from the inside, it's hard to see what makes them awesome. Like, I never intended to main Dizzy in Guilty Gear, but once I started labbing the character and seeing what all the lockdown shit and all the crazy, like, laser beams and the fucking, like, how if something goes bad, I don't like it, I can just fly away. I think that's super sick with Dizzy. I love that. Then it's like, okay, this is cool. I never intended to main Dizzy. That was a happy accident. But maybe it's the same thing with Soul. Maybe if I got behind the levers and started operating the character in a match, maybe I would feel differently. So I don't know. How do you feel about his design, dude? Because I feel like I would have done maybe not too much more, but it's basically Revelator's Soul. Would you have wanted more or maybe less? I don't know. How do you feel about the way he looks in this game?
It's odd not seeing the biceps.
Yeah, I feel like he needed to change, but this wasn't it, in my opinion. I feel like this is boring.
I don't know why they gave him longer sleeves. Like, I don't hate it, but I'm very mixed about a lot of the Strive designs.
Yeah, but they're definitely polarizing for sure. I'm half and half on. At least I think I'm half and half. I think once we do the episode, I'll realize kind of where I stand, because I kind of thought about them all in a vacuum. Because I think some of the redesigns are good, but I just feel like Soul needed a little more. I realize you can't change the main character too much. They were scared to give Ryu a beard, but I don't know. This one's really tough for me. This one I feel like is exceptionally difficult.
I don't hate it, like I said, but I'm not wild about it either. I'm gonna miss like the Zippo lighter quality of the sword he had in Xrd, etc.
Yeah,
but it's not like things have ever really stayed the same throughout the years. For me, most of my preferred character designs are from the X/Accent Core series, whatever you want to call it. So it's just like seeing them evolve further to me. So I'm kind of ambivalent about it. I don't hate it, but I find the jacket questionable. That's about it.
I feel like if you were going to go the jacket route, I would have gone, like, I would have made it more jackety. I would have made it, like, almost like a long coat. Like, I would have... yeah, I don't know.
It feels like it's somewhere in between. Yeah.
It's just... It doesn't...
It doesn't stand out.
I would have... Okay, maybe a small change that would have saved Soul for me. Well, not saved. I think his design's all right. I'm with you almost 100%. I think it's completely workable. Maybe give him a different shade of red. Maybe give him, like, a crimson. Maybe a color change would have been a big deal. And one of the characters down the line got a huge color change. Again, by the way. I think for the worse, in my opinion. What's that?
I think we're actually going to wind up talking about, like, tone and color a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest changes from Revelator. And for for the better in some cases. Honestly, Revelator hurts my eyes sometimes. Like the really bright yellows I don't like on the life bar.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's for the better, but some characters suffer bad for it, in my opinion. That covers my thoughts on Soul. Any final sentiments before we move on to Best Boy Kai?
Thinking about it here, I feel like his hair could be spikier.
Dude, I was going to say that. I was like, they could have changed the hair. Like, maybe get rid of the ponytail and just have it be like fucking Danzig, but...
I don't know. I think that's a bit much. I would not take away Soul's ponytail from him. That shit seems wrong to me. It's like having Chun-Li's hair and not be up in buns.
Well, that is a fantastic segue into Kai, who lost the greatest ponytail in the history of ponytails, and I'm still super sad about it, so... I like the Return of the Jedi thing on Kai. Alright, I think it looks good. Why'd you get rid of the fucking ponytail, man?
Alright, I have to hard disagree.
I know, because I saw this coming.
I'm glad he ditched it. I'm glad he ditched it. It's Saul's thing. Kai's the most straight and narrow, clean-cut guy. And, you know, the ponytail works for him when I guess he's being all, like, regal and pretty boy and sitting up there on his throne and shit, but... This is more like the Kai that I remember. Sound like an old man. But generally speaking, I like the design. Like, I like the vibe it gives off. He feels more casual, more relaxed. I don't know about, like, having a coat over your shoulders, though.
It's the KOF problem, right?
It's exactly the KOF problem.
I need to know why. I need to know why it's over his shoulders. I feel like... Okay, so let me say at least one good thing about Kai. I think this is the perfect level of redesign. I think this is a sufficient amount of change. You know, I know who he is, but I can tell it's a brand new game, right? That was what made the Strive reveal trailer in 2019 so cool. Is no one knew if it was going to be an expansion like Rev 2, or if it was a new game. And when we saw Kai, everyone immediately knew it was a new game. That's great. I still think he looks like a Gap model. I don't think I don't mind pretty, like if Kai
You're
wants...
not wrong.
Something about the hair. Not only do I think long hair looks better on everyone, I wish Quan Chi had long hair, but I feel like it showed his age. He looks like he's 18 now. It's, I don't know.
I don't think he ever looked older.
Yeah. Also, do we know how old he is? I don't know how old he actually is.
Jesus. He looks 16, so I'm going to say 36. This is anime.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would say that's accurate.
I'm pretty sure he's in his late 30s at this point. Or I'm guessing anyway.
But
the thing is, he does not feel like a king anymore, you know? Just looking at that design, it feels like he's either stepped down or something. Or, I don't know, got dismissed. Well, I look forward to seeing where the story brings him. I really do.
I feel like he has the rebel thing going, where it's like, I was a king, but I'm done with that shit, and now you can see my chest. I think that's kind of where they're going with it. I think he's going to be at... although he's always kind of fought the bureaucracy. And the looking young thing, I don't think Kai's ever going to really age, because his whole thing is being straight edge. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. You know, he doesn't... You know, for all we know, he's very just, like, clean, disciplined military guy, right? So I don't foresee him ever, like getting bags under the eyes, but...
No. He was born straight edge. He's gonna live straight edge. He lives and dies by the sword and the order and holiness and all that. But he does seem more casual here, you know.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing more development with him. I think you can't make him too not clean, because I think that's what makes him and Soul so interesting. Soul is the fucking barbarian, while Kai is a goody two shoes, and I think that makes their relationship a lot of fun. I think Kai sort of implicitly feels bad for Soul, and Soul is pissed because he kind of picks up on it, so he's just always perpetually angry at Kai. So I don't want to make him like too much of the bad boy in this game, but that's what I get, though. I look at this, and that is 100% what I get from this picture.
There's some stuff going on though with his eye in like certain gameplay videos and whatnot. There's something happening. Have
Yeah.
you seen this?
He has the dragon install essentially.
Yeah.
I think I could be wrong, but I think he traded eyes with Sin. And that's why Sin has the eye patch. I think. I could be wrong, but I think he had to do that for Sin to get past certain clearances in society. That's how Sin survived, despite being a gear. I think.
Interesting.
I
It's good theory.
well, the game does not do a great job of explaining it, right? Even though Sin had an eye patch in 2 games in a row without ever saying why, as far as I know, right? Yeah, so, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. I don't know why that automatically equates to a dragon install, but I guess it does. That's also why... yeah?
They were having, like, you know, that conversation about how, like, towards the end of Xrd, about how Kai holds back a lot and this and that. Not to go too far into it, but, you know, maybe we're getting some sort of awakened Kai, and this is a symptom of that.
Yeah, possibly.
Cool.
One thing that I always thought was cool about Kai is if his sword gets damaged, it heals by itself. Just because it's some sort of relic, I guess. I always thought that was interesting. I thought that might be what's going on, but I don't know.
I think they're actually addressing a big disparity going onwards. Like, if you're going to play up Soul and Kai as rivals, you have to have them be on equal ground, an equal footing. And Soul can turn off into this giant fuck-off... Soul can turn into this giant fuck-off dragon gear monster thing that, like, breaks worlds by punching them, and Kai is historically just really good at, like, hacking and slashing and using magic lightning powers. So I think that this might be their attempt to, like, even that out a little bit.
Yeah, there's almost like a schizophrenic divide on who Kai is on the battlefield versus who Kai is in his social life. It's a good angle to go with. Yeah, I'd love to see that explored. That sounds great. Kai just going off. As long as there's a good reason for it, I think that's a cool path to go down. But if he's just sticking up to the man, it depends who the man is. I just made a pun, didn't even realize it. Fuck. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about Kai's ponytails. Do you got anything else before we move on to Mei?
I like the crosses on the shins. And you know what? I think he's actually using his original sword now from, Is it the original sword from the X2 games? Let me just do a quick double check.
Yeah, I'm typing as well. I'm trying to see if, what the crosses are. Oh, I see those. Yeah, those are sick.
Okay, no, the sword's been redesigned, but it does not feel like the same sword he had in Xrd, I don't think.
I wonder if that ties into the fact that the sword is like borderline an organic entity, and it changes with Kai. I just don't know enough about the sword. I've had the crash course in Guilty Gear, but I don't know the details for many things.
Could be a brand new one for all we know. He's had 2 of them. The Thunder Seal and then the R something.
See, I didn't even know that. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it's been 2 different swords. The one he had in Xrd was a replacement because he kind of used up all the power, and I think it was the Thunder Seal to like prevent Dizzy from being blasted off into non-existence, keep her in suspended animation. So I don't know if he's using the Thunder Seal again or what, but
was that in Overture that happened?
Yes.
Okay, then I know what you're talking about. Then interesting. Okay, I think I did know that, but I forgot. Man, if he has a third sword, that could be cool. It's I mean, it might not be either. Like, I mean, we're MK fans, right? So we've seen a lot of things fall into dead ends, right? But hopefully they do something cool with that. I think that could be sick. All right, cool. We'll see how Mei's doing in this game. Aside from this awful picture, I think Mei looks really good in this game. I think Mei looks sick. This is exactly what she needed for a redesign.
It was about time, I think. I never got tired of the old pirate shtick. I really can't stand that, like, initial, like, drawing that they put up. Well, the promotional picture that they put up of her, because she just looks so very pregnant because of the angle everything's at, and I don't want to think about Mei being pregnant. It looks, no, that's bad.
It's
Thank you.
easier now that she's an adult. I think that's my favorite thing about the change. She doesn't look like she's like 13 years old anymore. And although even in Guilty Gear 1, if you do the math, She was probably 17 in the first Guilty Gear. That would make her older than Kai. Oh my god.
Is she an adult now? I don't know.
My math is that Xrd takes place 7 years after the first Guilty Gear, I think. Or it might be 7 years after X2. So if it's 7 years after XX, she is 24 years old in Sign. So if you go 7 years backward... Wait, am I bad at math?
She did not seem 24 years old in Sign. I
Yes,
might give her 24 years old here, looking at some of her animations and some screen grabs and stuff. I can believe that.
I blame the... See, even though I think Xrd is a beautiful game, they really phoned it in on the female faces, right? Like, the females in Xrd look generic even by anime standards, right? Dizzy looks like Mickey Mouse if you Photoshop her. I don't think they did May justice on that end. I mean, if you look at the Guilty Gear X intro, May clearly looks like she's in her late teens. That also might be an art style thing. Like, on the select screen, Bridget looks like he's like 50. It's
that
tough.
Was some painful art.
Yeah, I linked that to someone recently. They told me to delete it.
That duck-like facial expression is painful.
Yeah, with that creepy mouth. Oh, man. We'll get to that later. We're going to talk about characters who aren't in this game. I wouldn't mind seeing Bridget back, but I think
I'm with you.
How you bring him back is complicated because time is a big factor there. But if May was telling the truth when she told Chip that she was 24 years old in Sign, then this design here makes sense. And you'll notice how I was complaining about the faces a moment ago in Xrd. They fixed all the female faces for Strive. Rambla, like if you look at Rambla and Xrd versus Strive, oh my god. Like day and night, the faces are fixed. The problem itself, thank God. But I think May actually looks like an adult in her 20s. But no matter what happens after that, she already looks better. But just simplifying the pirate costume and giving her a hoodie that for some reason still has belts, I think that's a step forward. Giant step forward. So yeah, and also I play May. May is the first character I played in Strive back in March when the first beta came out. So I think she's a lot of fun. I think her playstyle is probably one of the most Xrd playstyles in Strive in my opinion. And I love May as a character, honestly, because she's like a daughter figure to Johnny, and I think Johnny makes May more interesting, and May makes Johnny more interesting. I feel like all those characters kind of work off each other well. So, man, we gotta talk about Johnny later too. But right now, though, I love the way May is at the moment. I think it's a giant improvement.
I have to agree for the most part. I'm still not entirely 100% about the backpack and the, I don't know, the kind of hoodie she's got going on, hoodie/pirate hat. I don't know. It's weird. It's an improvement. I think she was really one way or another done with the pirate outfit, the whole like 9 yards.
Well, maybe.
I can agree that she definitely does look like she's in her 20s now.
That's such a plus, man. Oh my god, because
it was about time.
I've had people come up to me and say, I like Xrd, but I just get annoyed with all the waifus. And I feel like if they fix the art style, a lot of that problem goes away. Yeah. I think that person's in the chat right now, by the way. So,
hello.
I think, okay, here's another thing I like when you're designing costumes, right? If you design a costume, design it in a way where if you change the color, it doesn't look awful. And if you see May's other colors in Strive, like, it just pops. It works out so well. So, shout-outs to Otacon, by the way. So, yeah, just, we're going to get to that later. I'm very OCD with colors. I don't like it when it changes hair color, because I don't like when my character has a non-canon hair color. That stuff really bothers me. So that brings my list to like 17 to 3 of colors I'm allowed to use then.
I can understand that. I have a problem like going off canon color choice wise. I rarely do it.
Dizzy is not fucking blonde, damn it. I don't want to see a blonde Dizzy. Which just sucks, because I like the rest of the costume. I think the rest of the costume looks great, but just, oh, it's so distracting. I've gotten better about it, because now that I play like hundreds of matches with a character, I can let it go and kind of explore other colors now, because I'm kind of over the canon design. But for the most part, like, it's tough for me. What's up?
I'm not. Blonde Slayer is a crime against God and man.
God, yeah, well, that's especially bad because of the beard. Yeah, let's not do that. Oof. But yeah, May.
I'm interested in seeing where she goes plot-wise.
Well, I really like what they did with her in Exerd with the colony disease she had. Like, I thought that was a real touching story. I thought that was well done.
It's been a little bit of shit, like finding out that she's actually Japanese, which is this, kind of very dangerous and apocalyptic thing in the world of Guilty Gear, and oh no, I have a disease that's associated with being that. Who the hell am I? What is wrong with me? So it looks like she's on the cusp of some major character growth.
Yeah, that's a talking point in itself because back when I read the wikis on Guilty Gear X and Guilty Gear XX, it was already bad enough that all the Japanese individuals were forced into colonies or a colony. That's already feels so fucked up. Then you find out what you find out in Exerd. I'm like, oh my god, this is awful. This is so bad. So yes, I'm curious as well, but I don't really have. The bar is not very high for me either. For me, I need May to be a lot of fun, and I need her to make Johnny and other characters she's around interesting. I think she's always done that. I think she's always. I loved her interactions with Biken and Revelator. I think the bar is not high as it is for May. I just need May to be enjoyable and make everyone around her interesting, and she brings out personality characteristics that other characters can, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with May.
I'm kind of wondering if she's going to maybe kind of grow away from the Jellyfish Pirates as a whole. No, she's already gone on this big journey to find out who she is and when, it's about self-discovery. I wouldn't be surprised if she just doesn't come back.
I really thought a new character might have been a different Jellyfish Pirate, like maybe April. Like, I'm kind of surprised you never did that. I don't know, Robo May, I can't say for sure, man, but hopefully whatever they do is, I mean, we'll talk about this. There's a long list of things we'll talk about later, but I'm glad there's only 2 new characters. I think that helps a 15-character roster so much, but I'm surprised we never saw April, but there's no evidence April can fight, so maybe that's the problem. But then again, Gabriel can fight, and Gabriel never showed up to date, so I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, just let me get started on him.
Well, he's coming.
Later when we talk about wish lists.
Well, maybe even sooner than that. Next is Axel, but after that is Chip and Potemkin, so... Axel, this is another one I really don't have too much to say about. I like Axel a lot. He's definitely a character that's very hard to talk about without going into spoilers, but he's honestly, I think, one of the most interesting characters in the lore, and he's a very well done subversion. And again, like May, he makes all the characters around him way more interesting. And you got Pants, so that's really good.
I am so glad we are done with the jorts.
Yeah, it looked really bad. Like that, honestly, that ruined the character for me. Like, not in terms of lore. I still love Axel, but I can't play Axel because of that. Like,
it doesn't matter if you're the time-traveling key to the entire universe. Jorts, get out of my face. Leave my house.
Is it a British thing? I don't Well, to be fair, the zippers look bad here, but...
I feel like it's a Japanese idea of what a British thing is. It feels something Billy Kane wore or would wear.
That's even better. I love that. That's where a lot of the flavor comes from in Guilty Gear, thankfully. But yeah, so that's a huge improvement. I don't like the zippers here, but it's not as bad as the jorts.
I have questions about the zippers as well, but fashion accessory, whatever.
The good news is I don't realize they're there if I'm not thinking about it. They just go away as long as I'm not mentally fixating on the zippers, right? But
for the longest time in my 20s, I had this dark vest. That's what it was. It was a vest. It was slip-on goth thing, and it had a totally unnecessary diagonal zipper over the chest. The zipper did not open anything. The zipper was just there. So I'm guilty of dressing like a Daisuke character, so I can forgive this. I can forgive this. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. I hate to say it, but that unfortunately covers everything I have to say about Axel. I think he looks great, but...
Axel, was always a longtime favorite of mine because, the notion of being a lost time traveler, desperately trying to get back home, it's a tried, tested, and true one. But he's only gotten more interesting as the series has gone on. And now we find out that it's not so much that he's traveling just through time, but it's like through dimensions as well, according to Exard. And he can't really go back to where he was, so to speak. It's a bit involved, but like, it's come down to basically he has to choose this world or the world that he grew up in. And from where we left him, without spoilers, he's in a pretty interesting and sad place. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where Strive takes him.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like so much of a linchpin character anymore. Now it feels like now he might be more along for the ride.
And yeah, he's one of the biggest victims in Guilty Gear, in my opinion. And I think if you had to pick a character where you were going to drop that plot line, I think he's perfect for it. Because A, you don't see it coming, but B, his reactions to it are interesting. I think if you did that with like Anji, I don't hate Anji, by the way, but we'll get to him later. If you did that with Anji, I don't think Anji's reactions to that situation would be nearly as interesting as Axel's. I think Axel's are a lot more on point to what is good for the story, right? And we like Axel. You don't want bad things to happen to Axel. He's such a nice guy.
You don't. I think his history with Ino is going to get really, really conflicty in the very near future. So, little side bit of trivia. Initially, I'm talking like, again, back in the X2 days, when you went through Axel's pathways, this was the first time that we ever met Raven around this time, in like X2 and Accent Core. And there was like some speculation, or like there were hints to the fact that Axel and Raven were connected. A lot of people theorized that Raven was an alternate potential worst case scenario future version of Axel who had been alive for millennia. That turned out not to be the case, as we know. But what they kind of did was like they shifted his connection on the sly over to Ino, and Exard kind of gets into that in a really involved way, and that they're kind of overlapping existences in a way. So I think that was a good call to make, to anchor him to someone who's pre-established and doesn't really have much else of a personal vendetta to go against anyone with. Now that it's like Soul and that man, it's all about that rivalry, that animosity. And yes, Ino desperately has a hate boner for Soul, but you have to set her up with her own kind of arch nemesis, and I feel like that's exactly what they're doing with Axel.
So I didn't know that about Raven. I wasn't aware that. That's a very interesting. God, I'm torn. Would I have wanted that to be true? And I don't know. Because, man, that's some Noob Saibot shit. That is really smart.
It was only ever specified briefly that they had some sort of connection, but they just kind of dropped it and went, okay, no, Ino instead. But that's it.
Interesting. I'm going to simmer on that. That's fascinating. I've never heard that before, but I really like that. But I don't want to lose Axel either, right?
No.
You don't want to... Some people don't want to give up the Bihan for the Noob Saibot, and that's... and even though I'm not in that camp, here I can empathize. Here I'm like, oh, do we want to lose Axel or not? Well, we didn't, so I guess...
I don't think you have to. Just the idea of just a character existing as a horrible future version of the one that you know and love is just an interesting concept in and of itself. And with the way that Guilty Gear and its magic and time bullshit work, I don't think you'd have to lose either one of them.
True. It's just the piece fits so perfectly, but... Interesting. Well, that's all I got for Axel. Anything else before we move on to Chip?
No, not so much.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go.
Now, just, as a proviso, though, so our listeners know, I didn't get into the beta. I missed my shot. I had other things going on, and before a game like this launches, I tend to, unless it's MK, I try to tune in as little as humanly possible because of, I only have so much time in the day, and I like the full thing to really punch me in the face when it comes out. but I've been caving lately. I've been watching some gameplay videos here and there.
Yeah, I think the delay is also a factor in that. Like, it's hard to stay dark when they keep pushing the game back. Oh, God. Well, the only good news on that is that there may be another beta. Because, honestly, I don't see the point of delaying it 2 months if you're not going to test the fixes, right? So, and I don't know how they can do that without opening the servers. I would think March. Not God, that doesn't make any sense. I would think April is when that would happen.
I hope to get in on it. I really do.
I think you will, because I think they're going to do what they did last time, and I will get days off from work to play the beta. Because nice. There's still things I wanted to try, and we'll definitely get into that later. But yeah, it's a struggle, man, because like I had to put all my time in RAM. And that means I missed out on a lot of things that I can only see now. Like, I go on YouTube and I'm like, I would like to have tried that. I'd like to see if that would have anti-aired. I can't do any of that now. That's why the delay hurts so bad, but yeah, it just is what it is. Kind of like our buddy Chip here. Well,
it gives me a bit of more time to get a PS5 and do this the right way.
To me, they haven't talked about that yet. They said there would be a PS5 exclusive mode, and we never heard anything about it ever again. So did I buy a PS5 for nothing? Like, what I would like to know what my bonus
not.
is.
It's an investment for the future, for other titles. You know that.
Yeah, it's also abstract art in my office. I like the way it looks, honestly. It grew on me a lot. It's also like a stand for my Wii Fit amiibo, so I like it a lot for that reason too. I bought Dark Souls. I barely played it though. Yeah, so okay, if someone in the chat knows if they've talked about the exclusive mode or not, feel free to chime in. I am reading the chat loosely at the moment. But yeah, just let me know if there's been any update on that. I would seriously like to know why they haven't talked about it, but I guess I'm delaying because I don't have anything to say about Chip. I literally have nothing to say about him. I don't really like his new design out of the neck. I think the neck looks kind of whack. And I think his gameplay is... What's that?
We're in agreement.
Yeah.
I hate everything below the belt. I really do. I can't stand it. I think the rope's stupid. I hate the sandals. The pants are too large. Chip was like a really thin kind... Not emaciated, although, he once was because... As a teenager, he was addicted to coke. But this is like he's been getting buffer and buffer. And I don't know if it's the art style. I like the way his face looks. He looks great in like those smirky close-ups he's got. But I am not a fan of like Potemkin looking Chip. The muscles are too much, and everything below the belt is good.
As far as I know, only 2 characters got the Chip treatment. Chip himself and Zato. Zato buffed up quite a bit too. They could be doing the ex-drug addict turned health nut, where now he hits the weights hard, maybe?
Well, he'd actually dropped the whole drug addict thing by the first Guilty Gear game. That was part of his backstory. He was like a dealer, and then this what's the word I'm looking for here? A former member of the Assassin's Guild picked him up and saved him because he saw a lot of potential in him. And the story goes that he withheld Chip's drugs, and Chip chased him around the dojo constantly for them until he eventually lost the dependency. And that's how that's one of the ways that he was trained physically, by scrounging after his drugs.
That explains his playstyle. I mean, 100%, yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. So, unfortunately, none of that translates into Strive, and his gameplay is also worse because he's always been a glass cannon, but they took away all his really dangerous shit, and because life is already so low. Well, the thing is, almost every character lost a lot of their move list. Ram is like a different character in this game, outside of the corner stuff. And like, it's one of the big criticisms I have with Strive is that damage is so high that it's hard to get anything started. And when you make damage high and anti-air is worse, it just the floor is lava, to be honest with you, man. Right now in Strive, I hope that changes. Nice. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, when you have Chip in that equation, it doesn't give him a lot of room for error, dude. So I don't know. Like it's yeah. I don't think he's going to do well. What's up?
It's a shame. He's always been like one of my top 5 dudes. I love to mess around with him and kind of like go full ham. And he's one of the few characters I enjoy actually doing rushdown shit with. Oh well. Guess it just ain't the game. But
at least not
I'm
yet.
looking forward to seeing where he goes. I mean, maybe he'll actually be president by this point in time. I don't know. He's already founded a nation. I guess he's president by now.
Yeah, that stuff's confusing. I'm not super sure how any of that works, to tell you the truth, man. I'm not 100% clear on that, but oh hey there, Armand. How you doing, dude?
What's up?
Armand joined us in the chat. So I don't know. Here's my worry, right? Game comes out. Chip is like bottom 2. No one can get anything started with him. His really good stuff doesn't lead to any fucking damage. And then 6 months into the game, a new patch comes out, and he's broke because everyone complained about Chip. And then we go from the frying pan to the fire, right? That's what I don't want to happen with Chip. That sounds like... Okay, look, I'm going to be super honest right now. If Chip has to be good or bad, I go bad all day. I don't want to deal with Chip. Chip is stupid. He's a dumb fucking character. I love him. I love his playstyle, but I don't want to fight that shit. So if I have to pick... I mean, in an ideal world... temporary username, would like to fight a balanced version of Chip, right? I don't think that's going to happen. He's going to be dumb. He's going to be stupid.
So, I hope you enjoyed those Venom sets, because it's all cokehead ninja bullshit from here on out, my friend.
Oh, yeah, dude. I know where I am on the line, right? If he has to be one, I'd rather him be bad than broke. But I am one man. I'd be curious what our chat thinks about that as well. So, God, Chip... I get salty at fighting Chip in the arcade mode. I fucking hate fighting that character. So...
Everyone's got their one. For me, it's Slayer. I get nervous whenever Slayer's on screen. Fuck that guy. Ugh.
You know, I told Praetor this too. Praetor's a Slayer main. I'm low-key relieved he's not back. Just because, like... He hits like a truck and he's invisible half the fucking match. It's not fun to fight that.
Yep.
But also, just, I'm kind of tired of fighting Slayer. When I first played Guilty Gear X2, and my roommate was a Slayer main. That was back in 2004, I think. And after that, Praetor was a Slayer player. Down 4's favorite character is Slayer. So I feel bad for all these great human beings in my life who did not get Slayer back. But I don't want to fight him anymore, man. Like, he's a pain in the ass. And I think, like, the novelty has worn off for me as well. Like, I like the character a lot lore-wise, but, I just...
He's in my book of people who need to take a break. Like, from the moment he debuted, his entire story was basically, I'm going to retire now. You'll never see me again. He's still around.
I think he's one of the most awkward characters in Xrd. Because it makes sense at the end of Revelator, but in Sign, I'm like, what the fuck is Slayer doing? Why is he here? Why is he having trouble fighting Bedman? None of this makes sense. And then they kind of, by the end of Revelator, it's like, okay, like, now I see what they're doing. I see where they're going with the Assassin's Guild. Because I feel like Slayer was just contradicting himself. I'm like, did you say you didn't approve of the Assassin's Guild when you found out it got corrupted over the centuries? Like, what are you doing here?
He came back to shut it down before he just took his permanent sabbatical. And now he's considering, okay, maybe I can reform this into something worth a damn. So I guess that's the reason he's stuck around.
That is the reason he's stuck around, but they don't tell you that in Sign. In Sign, he's just there. It's like, what are you doing? I'm sorry, Chip, but you weren't interesting enough. We gotta talk about Slayer now. You're too boring in this game, Chip.
I love you, Chip, but your pants and sandals and belt are terrible.
A little trivia. He was the very first character I tried to main in Guilty Gear before I got Guilty Gear X, right? Because Testament wasn't in the game yet. I always liked Testament because I took a quiz on the internet in 2003, I think. And it says I was Testament in the Guilty Gear world. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I don't know if that's accurate, the timeline at least, but I was like Guilty Gear from afar, and when I finally got to play him, that was my main. But I didn't have him yet, so I had to play Chip. And I still think Chip is a great character. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like there's anything new to say about Chip at the moment. I feel like his design got worse, his gameplay got worse, and the good things are still there. But I got nothing, man. I have nothing else to say about Chip. He's Chip.
All I got to say is just, going forward, I hope less Naruto, more rock and roll. That's all I got.
I'm okay with both, but you have to have both. You definitely can't not have the rock and roll. If you're going to do Naruto, do the good part of Naruto. Don't do whatever the fuck this is.
That's what I'm saying.
So, all right, Chip. Well,
moving on.
We are going to, my Streamlabs is acting weird. Here we go. Potemkin. I give him an F on redesign, man. He looks the same. Looking at him now, I have no idea if he's Xrd or Strive. I have no idea which version this is, unless you told me it was Strive.
It's the same one. They changed virtually nothing, and to be honest, I kind of hate it. I was never a fan of the XR design at all.
Well, I like it as a novelty.
His face.
I mean, Chip looks so good in the Guilty Gear X intro. That's the Chip. Oh my god, what am I saying? Potemkin looks so good in the Guilty Gear X intro. And honestly, I like the Xer design for what it is, but I'm done. Like, let's do something else. Change the colors, for God's sake. Do something. This is the same fucking design.
Take his helmet off, or remove the stupid Mega Man lower jaw. I miss it barely feels like Potemkin to me anymore, And God, how I hate those shoes. How I hate those stupid shoes. What are these things?
Yeah.
The gauntlets are fine. I don't even mind the uniform or anything, but just the helmet and the shoes. If they'd have just modified those, I'd have been so much more happy. As it is, I feel like they just looked at Strive and went, good enough.
It's tough, man, because...
XR went good enough, yeah.
Well, if you take the helmet off, his head will be ridiculously small, and I don't know how to solve that problem. I feel like they need to, because he's part machine anyway, they need to just readjust his proportions. You can still give him mostly the same size and hitboxes, but...
Is he part machine now?
I think so. I could be wrong about that, but I think he has implants, right?
He had a collar initially. I don't remember him having implants.
Okay, well, I might have made that up.
Look, there's that stuff that he, there's those screws on his back and his, pecs. Maybe he is partially augmented. There's even fucking dialogue in XR where it's are you a robot now or something? And I don't, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think he is. I don't know.
Well, even though I like Potemkin's design, at least in terms of artwork, I always thought he looked awkward in the old games. I never understood the proportions. I understand it from a gameplay style, but I don't understand it looks cumbersome to me. So I think Xer was trying to solve that, and I honestly think they did. Now that robot or not, the fact that he looks like a robot makes the size and the proportions make a lot more sense. But if you're going to stick with that route, you got to redesign it. You can't give it the same design again. Especially with, fucking, dark, I guess, leapfrog green. It's not a good color. It's just kind of gross, to be honest with you. Give him a better color. Put him in, gray or, navy. I think that would look really good. I don't know. I'm not super sure how to fix it, but you definitely should not have done this. Don't just copy and paste his design from Xrd. Especially when this character doesn't get enough attention to begin with, in my opinion.
I wish I had more to say about him, but it's like you with Chip. I think he's cool. I wouldn't want a Guilty Gear game without him. I'm glad he's back, but I was hoping for a lot more with the redesign.
Yeah,
I also feel like he should maybe, I don't know, hit harder. A lot of his moves are just straight up goofy looking. What's that thing called? The ICBM, where he just kind of catapults himself in a semicircle across the screen. or he just kind of falls down and smacks the ground to make you stumble. I don't know.
Well,
there's always been this kind of like quasi-comedic factor about him. Like it feels like even they don't take him completely seriously, and I kind of wish they would just a little bit.
I would not hate a move redesign for Potemkin, because right now I think I personally think he's number one in the beta. I think he's the strongest character in the game right now. But I think no one disagrees he's inside the top 3. I don't think any sane person would say that Pot is not at least top 3 right now. God, he's dumb. Like, it's like he can fucking jump in on you for free all fucking day. If you jump in on him, you're dead. Like, that's so fucking stupid right now. But yeah, I see what you mean though. How like you would think a big bruiser would have specials with more impact. I can see what you mean by that. But and I think, to be fair, I think his grapples have impact, right? I think his grapples are fine. His grapples are beautiful.
The grapples are good. I kind of wish the anti-air that like kind of like ended off with a what's that one there? It's like forward to back and like 4. Like he just kind of like blows you up after like unloading a bunch of bullets in your point blank. I kind of wish that had more impact, because that looks like it should be way more painful than it actually is.
I can't remember if it does now or not, to be honest with you. It might now. It's hard to say. So, by the way, it looks like he has a genetic mutation. It's not implants. At least that I can tell.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean that's Potemkin. I wish I had better things. And honestly, I still think he should be there. I still think he's a very good inclusion, to be honest with you, right? Like,
wouldn't have a game without him.
No one else plays like that. What's up?
He's too crucial.
Yeah, I would really like to see. Also, like, right now, in my personal opinion, he has the best theme in the game. I really like the jazz interludes and the metal chorus and the sort of like the Rage Against the Machine vocal performance and the melodic breakdown after the chorus. I think he has the best theme in the game right now.
I heard that there actually aren't any instrumentals in the stages. It's all vocals. Is that true?
No one knows for sure. Right now, that is correct. But there's only like 4 or 5 themes in the game right now. I think Rams is going to be instrumental, but we don't know yet.
Should be interesting.
Well, Rams has like one of the best trailer themes. Anji's is also hella fucking good. So I honestly think those will be instrumental, because all the other ones with vocals had vocals in the trailer. And that wasn't true for Anji or for Rams, so or Ino for that matter. So I don't know. That'll be interesting. But God, Society is so fucking good, man. That is such a good ass song. All right, Potemkin. Moving on to Faust. I am legit worried about this character now, because for a while I was calling everyone.
Right? Like, are you okay?
I was telling everyone they were stupid because they thought he was reverting back to a bald head. And I was like, guys, he's clearly sick. He's terminal. There's no evidence he's actually evil. Because part of me, I think, logically still thinks that is the case. I don't think he's evil right now. Based off his super, his dialogue in game, and his like end poses between rounds, I think the evidence is he is still good. He still gives you medicine after he beats you, right? But the thing is, they said in the recent Q&A that some characters were going to change alignments because they were returning to their origins. And that is a lose-lose for me, because that is either going to mean Faust or Zato. And I don't. Those both sound off. I like those characters as they are now. I don't want. I don't. Yeah.
I feel like with Faust, it's obvious. Okay. Can I share a theory that I've had?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
A long time. This might be kind of spoilery. I don't know.
So
in the Guilty Gear world, from what Exard told us, there was someone long ago who was known as the Original. This is the person who first discovers the backyard, who builds the robot that eventually goes insane and decides humans are redundant and becomes the universal will. What if, just what if, and this is based on absolutely fucking nothing at all, but just what if this was being foreshadowed for 20 years? Faust's theme song in the Guilty Gear XR Heavy Rock soundtrack is called The Original.
Oh, okay.
That would go towards explaining why he's capable of doing so much insane shit with his body. All like the bending, the stretching, the warping reality, all that crazy stuff. What if it's not just a comedic factor? What if he can actually do all this batshit insane stuff because he is, for all intents and purposes, you know, kind of a living god? It would make me laugh so hard if the entire fucking time Dr. Baldhead was actually dead and it's all been a coincidence. That's the exact thing I would completely expect Daisuke to pull. Faust was never Baldhead.
I would like that better in some ways, to be honest with you. I think that's really interesting. I think that could be really cool. I always said if they made a Guilty Gear movie, they need to skip Baldhead. They could imply that the Baldhead events happened, but by the time the Holy Order's tournament occurs, Faust needs to be Faust. He needs to be a good guy, and he needs to be what everyone loves about Faust. Even if it's not true to the game, I don't think a story benefits with Dr. Baldhead. It does benefit with Faust. So I'd be for that theory. I think that theory would be sick. It's almost like almost like a Doctor Strange Spider-Man kind of situation, is like, was it the radioactive spider kind of thing? I would be okay with that. I think that'd be cool.
It's just, I don't know, a little bit of spitballing that I had. I've been floating this theory around in my head for like, ever since I first finished Sign. I'm like, the original. You're shitting me. The original. What does that mean? Does it mean anything? Soundtrack clues. Connecting dots on a fucking, like, whiteboard, you know? That's the way that I roll. But, enough about theories. What's up, like, the scars on his chest, like he's cut himself open or something? I am worried about this guy.
Well, it says the word "good" on his scrubs, so we know he's still good. There's no question there. He wouldn't have the word "good" on there if he wasn't good.
Are we sure he didn't put that there himself to remind himself he's supposed to be still good? Because he ain't looking good, fam.
Yeah.
Ain't looking good at all.
Jokes aside, it does have a gray windowless van vibe when you see the word "good" on his scrubs. I don't like it. But here's the thing, though, right? Like, it would make sense for him to be terminally ill, because he spent most of Exerd trying to help the colonies and devise a way to suppress the antimatter generation, right? My theory is A, he was overexposed, or B, he got those serums to help them out by experimenting on himself. He didn't have the other subjects. So that's my theory of why he's really, really sick right now. But
I could be down with either one of those. I really could.
All I can do is hope, right? Because I think Faust has done a lot of good for the series. I would hate to see him go out like this, because I have a feeling he's going to die. I think they've been warning us over and over again. His win pose is that his ghost tries to escape his body and he swallows it back. Oh, man. That's his round win pose.
I haven't seen that. Oh shit!
They've been a lot of wink that Faust is almost done, guys. Make your preparations, and if he goes out with a bang, I'm all right with that. I don't want Faust to go down as Dr. Baldhead, man. That doesn't sound. I love the character too much. That would break my heart.
I don't think he would, if he ever really was him.
I agree.
He's left too much of a legacy. It would be really heart-wrenching, but I could also see it as being something that happens, because I feel like Daisuke is not afraid to kill off characters when they've outlived their usefulness.
No, Daisuke doesn't give a fuck. He'll do whatever. He's not Ed Boon. He does whatever he wants. Like, the end. I 100% agree with you. He is, Cliff's dead as fuck. He's never coming back. I'm Daisuke. That's Daisuke for me, right? So.
I honestly, we'll get more to this when we talk about our wish lists and shit, but I would not be surprised if we never saw Testament again. I'd love it, but I feel like Daisuke doesn't put him back in purely for plot reasons. That's the only reason I can think of.
I have a suspicion that Testament was supposed to show up in the final battle of Exerd when Dizzy basically shows up at the top of the city, but they ran out of money. I really think that's what happened. I think there were actually going to be more characters, and they just ran out of dollars, and really probably more than that, they ran out of time, right? I think there is a specific character, a specific robotic character, that was probably going to be playable in Revelator 2, and they just ran out of time. So it turned out to be just Answer and Biken. But I think there was going to be a third character for Revelator, and it just didn't work out in the end.
I really would have loved if that certain robot character had come back.
Yeah, no, but at least he had one of the best showing. He had a better showing than most of the playable roster. I mean, that's...
He had no business being that awesome. He's never been that awesome. He's always been a joke. Who's the joke now, assholes?
Yeah, and you know what's cool is he still is a joke, but A, the joke is funny, and B, underneath the joke, there's a beating heart, and that's all I ever ask for anything, or any character, right? But so Randy brought up that he thinks that the Q&A guy was referring to Eno. Randy, I actually think you're right on that. I think you're 100% right. I think that's correct, but it's not a confident correct. Yeah?
You know what? We'll talk more about that when we get to Eno, because I got some Eno opinions.
Yeah, just, that's, to be honest with you, I have some, but most of them are superficial. I don't really... Eno's kind of like May, where the bar is not really that high. I don't ask much of Eno, even as a final boss, right? So
I ask a lot of Eno because I have a very in-depth love-hate relationship with that character for reasons.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's fitting that she's gonna be the last one because I feel like in many ways she kind of saved the roster. I think she was the flavor the roster needed. It didn't even have to be her, but it had to be someone like her, I think, but. Poor Faust. If he dies, I'm okay. If he turns evil, I'll be really disappointed. That is really my summary. I think he's terminally ill, and it's just going to be a tragedy. I don't think he's evil. I think it's going to be a sad story about Faust's last stand. I think that's what's really going on here, right? But any final thoughts on our boy Faust, or?
Please be okay.
Yeah, right.
Don't break my heart. He's still making afros. That's something.
But he also eats people and spits them out from a fucking astral realm, so...
Our guy's still in there. Somewhere.
We're rooting for you, Faust. Alright.
Stick those fingers up butt still? They're kind of long. Concerned.
No, now he breaks chins. Or shins. I always struggle with that.
Okay.
But that's almost worse. Like,
probably for the best.
I'd rather have someone do the former to me than the latter to me. Shin pain is the worst pain. It's so bad. Hey there, Amelia. So, okay, so I'm super torn on this one because I do think objectively it is a good redesign, but I hate the color and I don't like the direction. I don't think it looks bad on Amelia, but I would not have gone this direction at all. I just think it's a woman wearing clothes, right? I mean, the Audrey Hepburn thing they had going in excerpt I thought was kind of weird too. I didn't love or hate that either. But I hate the beige. I think beige on an already like blonde pale character is not a good match.
Yellow was a mistake, and it always was.
Yeah, it has the benefit of when you do change colors, it looks really good. But yeah, just it's just bland to me, I think. But
there's a subway station in my city called Atwater, and it's just nothing but brick walls of like brown and beige and like dingy looking cream, and it's painful to look at. I try to look at the floor whenever I'm walking through it, and that's all I see when I look at Milia now. I just see Atwater Metro Station.
Yeah,
she's the only character actually. We're talking about like how we like to go off color. She's the exception. I get that they wanted to differentiate her from Kai because Kai is the blue and white guy, but God, how I miss that old color scheme.
Yeah, I think if you brought something like that back, and obviously like for Strive, they're trying to lower the sex appeal, so she would have like yoga pants. But I still think that would look really good, right? Look, if you look at the picture on the Twitch channel, that she has this like this black like sort of under like formal uniform thing going on. I would have liked to have seen that. That probably looked really cool. So I don't know what's up. I don't know what's going on with this character. I don't think it looks bad. Like, especially in game, in action, I think the costume works really, really well. And I think with other colors, it looks much better. Not just not the direction I would have gone. Like, I would have done something else for sure. It's kind of like Scarlet with the whole like World War II pilot outfit. It's not that it's bad. It's just I don't think that's the direction I would have taken the character, right?
It's both and Potemkin. They have this like drab, washed out Soviet Russia feel about their entire aesthetic now. And I think one would have been enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've already established she's already Russian. I think this costume feels redundant in that respect. But she animates beautifully, though. Her moves look great in this game. What's up?
She did. From the plot perspective, gotta admit, she was one of the characters in X-Hard I was like, why are you here? What's going on? Your character arc is finished, yes? But they played me. I was happy to see that they put some time and effort into trying to give her a new reason to be around. And that, why are you actually still here, was a part of her story. And so now, going into Strive, going about that arc where we're talking about how reforming the Assassin's Guild is a possibility, she could be the figurehead for that, and I find that kind of cool. I hope she actually just does get to do more this time through than just, like, stab rando NPCs and kind of, like, bicker back and forth with Zato, though. I hope she's actually part of the action this time through in a meaningful way. And not just on the sidelines. She has a tendency to just be on the sidelines.
I don't think new things would be enough for Amelia, because we still have we don't have a lot of answers on her past, to be honest with you. We to this day, we don't really know why she turned good, which is one reason why I like Zato so much, is because we know exactly why he turned good.
Okay, this goes into more like the realm of like anecdotal materials and like side stories released in Japan, like about the games, but Milia turned good before the first Guilty Gear game. They were going to kill a kid. She wouldn't have it. She took the kid. She ran off and left. Stabbed Zato in the side for his trouble. That's how it started. So that's how the original Guilty Gear opens, is like Zato hunting down Milia, and Milia kind of like, you know, dealing with the consequences of being an assassin on the run and trying to take out the guy that's trying to take her out. Which she eventually does accomplish in the original X.
Well, sort of. It's isn't it more Eddie than Milia though who accomplishes that though? I thought that when she did accomplish it is because Eddie already took him over, right?
She accomplished it because he begged her to kill him because he was being consumed from the inside out.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. That's what I remember reading. Which is great. I think that makes Zato a better character, right? Which is why I think Zato should not turn evil again, because otherwise, evil Zato is just Chad ex-boyfriend. He's not interesting to me, right? This is, I think, a much better formula, but do you get a vibe that Milia is someone who was a murderer who's been reformed? I never get that vibe from her. I never feel like that dynamic. Really? Say more. What?
It's hard to get, like, I can understand why it would be a hard vibe to get, but it's her canonical story. But she was always that person who was like, I was never cut out for this life. I feel like she's like, maybe not so much of a murderer who wanted to reform, but like someone who went into a bad place she never should have been in the first place.
Okay.
If that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean that's very consistent with her endings, because that's the personality she has. And even if you win the game with Milia in Guilty Gear 1, it's not really a happy ending. She's still on the run. She just has a lot more fans, right? So I would. So I'll concede that. Maybe we don't need to go back into her past. For her present, though, I would like to see something a little different. I'm not disappointed anymore, but when I booted up Guilty Gear Sign and she was just hanging out with the Assassin's characters, I'm like, what are you doing? You're done with it. Why? Even Slayer, I think, even says, you're not part of the guild. Why are you here? Like, yeah, that's a line in the game. I'm like, right? Now, granted, I ate my own shoe.
But yeah, she had that exact dialogue with herself. Why am I here? Oh dear God, the Assassin's Guild is the only real life I've ever known, even though I've hated it. What the hell is my purpose?
And it worked out. To be fair, I judged it too quickly. It ended up being really well done in Revelator, right? So
I was having the same thoughts too.
So what I want, maybe more than anything else, and I think I'll get it, right? But I don't feel like I got this as much in Revelator. I would like her to have some really interesting character interactions. New characters, old characters, something, right? But
yeah,
I don't think Melia works in a vacuum at all.
That's what I'm saying. She needs to step up to the front and be more part of things.
Do you want like a... So Zato is hopefully not her rival anymore. That'd be really disappointing. Do you want a rivalry for Melia? Do you want a character conflict with Melia?
Not necessarily. I don't know. Like, I don't think that every character specifically needs to have an arch nemesis. I think she had a very, very memorable one, and I don't know. I don't feel like we need to specifically repeat the past. Like, she can't have one with, she did have a minor one with Venom. A very minor one. So it's like, for me, we've been there already. I think it's time for her to be more of a leader-type figure. Chip's doing all right for himself. He's helping the big guys. She should, too.
I also like Chip's character interactions a lot. I like the May stuff with Chip. I like... they made his subordinate answer interesting enough where if you just have Chip and answer, it works.
I could see that as a sitcom. I'd love to watch that shit.
Yeah, I would watch... can't say it because it's a spoiler. But there's a certain bakery sitcom I would love to watch if it existed. That's all I can say. Fuck! And also, for our audience, we are going to open up spoilers later. We're going to take down the curtain once we cover all the characters. And we do our... I'm undecided, actually, if we're going to do it before or after predictions. But that is probably coming. But we'll warn you guys first before we do that. Anything else on Melia before we go to Zato, which is almost the same as Melia? For me, at least. I feel like I can't talk about Melia without talking about Zato.
I'm afraid to actually fight people who use her. I am. I almost never fight people. I'm a guy who just kind of enjoys beating up the AI and having shits and giggles that way. I hadn't fought anyone in, like, the better part of, I don't know, 15 plus years in Guilty Gear until I fought you the other night. The prospect of fighting Melia online scares me. It truly does. You should be scared because if she knocks you down, you're dead. That's 100% Melia, and that has actually not even changed. Melia is one of the most polarizing characters in the Strive beta. Most people think she's really good, but a lot of people say she's a glass cannon. She plays a strategy that is just not sustainable in Strive. But unlike Chip, she can actually hurt you in a big way, and she only needs to be right like once or twice before it's pretty much GG, right? So, yeah, I'd agree with that, Randy. I think she's top 5 easy. I don't know how anyone can make a case otherwise. Because the damage is so high anyway, who gives a fuck? Just hit buttons. Strive is kind of in that place right now. I don't think that this is a bad place. I hope they do tone the damage down. So we're going to move on to her low-tier counterpart. Probably not actually low-tier. I think Zato is by far the most interesting character in the beta right now. I think he is the coolest playstyle. I think more than any other character, Zato is more interesting in the Strive meta than he is in the Extern meta. I always hated Zato until I saw him in the Strive beta. And then now that I finished Revelator and I know his story, I love him that much more. But this character is so fucking sick in like a Street Fighter-esque context, right? Not to say Strive plays like Street Fighter, but it's definitely a different, slower neutral, right? So, yeah, I think Zato is so badass in this game. What's that? Okay, Zato has always been one of my favorite characters. That issue of Tips and Tricks I mentioned before, which covered the original Guilty Gear, like back in like '98 when I was looking at it, and I was like, I was checking all these people out, and it's like, wow, this guy looks really cool. Fights with a blindfold on, a living shadow. That's fucking amazing. And when I finally got to play him a couple years later in X, I was blown away because he played like he was my introduction into like a fighting game world that had its grounds in like the Capcom style of things, but could just do and be so much more. Of like controlling a living shadow independently and having it fuck with people's play styles and just making it fucking run around by itself. I had so much fun with Zato. Zato was an early main for me until I realized I can't fucking use this guy to save my life. He's so technical. Like, this is one of the few times you're gonna hear me go on about gameplay, but he is so much fun to play, and I wish I could use him right. I feel like he's the perfect balance between what Guilty Gear can do with its characters that it does so very well, and then off-the-wall shit like Jacko, and basically acting like a beat-em-up character, and charging levels for minions on screen and weird shit. I don't know. I feel like Jacko is the bridge too far, and Zato is where you want to be for designing a really unique and interesting character that plays like absolutely no one else.
I agree now. I think one of the turnoffs for Zato back in the day was I don't like villain characters. Oh, let me rephrase that. I don't like playing as villain characters. So he was just immediately off the board. So this whole new world is open to me now. But the Shadow stuff, I knew it was there, but now I can actually explore it and look at the cool Shadow shit now and be like, I might want to play this character. And I will. Like, if there's another beta, I am only playing Zato. 100%. God, I'm excited too, but he does struggle though, because here's the thing. Because the game is slower, I think Zato's game plan, or his playstyle, is much more viable, because he has time to set shit up now. That just was very hard to do in Xrd after the nerfs, right? So I feel like this is his game, but his hitboxes are kind of fucked up. Because it looks like Stand Slash is a good poke, but it loses to trades, and it looks like 2H is a good anti-air, but it at best it loses to trades. At worst, you lose and get counter-hitted, and then get your back blown out. So, but his corner game looks good. His range is there, even if the hitboxes are kind of whack. Yeah, dude, he looks so good. Also, Eddie looks like a cat now. I love it. And when you change his colors, Eddie's neon outline changes with it. So like
that is so sick.
When he's green, oh my god, it looks so beautiful. They made this character tight, but I do wish they had given him more of a redesign. Give him the fucking jacket, give him the coat from Xrd. What the fuck?
You know what? I don't know. It's true he hasn't changed at all, barely. That's on one level it's a bit disappointing. But I always felt his design was so thoroughly good. Why fuck with it much? I don't know how to feel about it. I don't dislike the fact that he hasn't changed, but I'm not upset about it either. You know, I'm not pleased. I'm like Zato. I feel nothing about this. It is Zato. And I kind of feel like with all the redesign work that went into Eddie, looking like something out of the fucking Babadook now.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
I feel like that's where it shines. It doesn't all need to be completely revamped, but what is so fucking nice.
I at first thought like, this seems like a step down. Eddie just looks kind of like 2D. I don't know if I like this. I kind of like how they did it before when Eddie kind of looked like he was made out of oil. It was like a Venom thing. And then I went back to play Xrd and I'm like, no, Strive is better. Strive is clearly better. Now that I put them next to each other, there's no comparison.
He is a walking shadow. He should look kind of fucking eerie like this. And this actually brings me up to the one major disappointment that I had with XR as far as story goes. Eddie was a non-character.
Yeah, he was decoration.
That bothered me so much. So much of Eddie's story Eddie's entire story throughout like X2 going forward was, you know, I'm alive, I have my own body now, but I'm inextricably linked to Zato. I have his memories, I feel what he feels. Oh god, what do you mean I'm about to die? This is cruel and unusual. Please help me discover what it means to be alive. And, you know, he kind of, like, and Amelia helps him to kind of, like, meet his end gracefully. And I never, for a second, thought that Zato would come back. Again, the bit of trivia here is that Zato was changed into Eddie originally because Zato's original voice actor died. It was the same guy that played Hyo Moano in Rival Schools. But he fell down the stairs and had kind of a cerebral hemorrhage, I think it was, and he died very soon after. It was a horrible tragedy. And I thought that at the time, switching it to Eddie and giving him a good send off like that was a beautiful way to, end the character's arc prematurely, such as it was. I didn't think they'd bring him back ever. And they did such an amazing job with it. And he's plainly changed, literally coming up from a blank slate into kind of a positive force, rediscovering what it means to be himself. Zato had one of the best arcs of any Guilty Gear character. And I never thought half of it would even be possible. My only ask is that I want Eddie to be more, I want them to explore the notion of what it could mean to have, like, two voices in one head. I want Eddie to have input on things. Talk a bit. Crack some jokes. Tell us how he really feels.
I agree. Like, almost 100%, but I'll add on to that. I don't want them to backpedal either. I don't want them to go backwards with Zato at all.
I don't want evil Zato again. But I want to know what Eddie makes of things being the way they are. I don't want him to just be an accessory either.
I would hope that the whole dying thing with Eddie kind of gave him some perspective. But you're right, we don't know because they didn't tell us. They didn't let that character breathe, so it's all kind of speculative at the moment. I'm afraid, if I have to be honest with you, that it is at least a possibility. Like, I want to say, like, this is 60% likely that they're going to do that again. That Eddie is not going to get a voice in the room again. And I think that's just for technical reasons. They probably don't want to hire a voice actor. Which is why, if you... Maybe it's different in her arcade mode. But Coom... there's only one voice actor for Coom, and it's the old man. And I think that's because they did not want to hire a voice actor for the girl who's inside him, right? That's my theory. I think Eddie's going to be in the same fate.
I'm sure she had a few lines.
She might. Randy, do you know if the schoolgirl ever talks inside the robot?
The schoolgirl.
She might have intro dialogue. I just don't know what it is. It's funny because I've seen that intro like a million times when me and Randy do sets, but I don't actually know if he might not be in the chat at the moment. All good though. But we need to bookmark this, right? Because I have a feeling we're going to come. Because we'll do another video for the review once the game is out. What we think of the story. How we will literally go by every single character again and talk about what we thought of them and how they turned out. Oh, Randy, we were just saying if Coom had a voice actress or not, or if it was just the old man. We weren't sure if the schoolgirl actually had an actress who was paid.
It's both. She has them in English. She has both of them she has two in English and two in Japanese. She has them in English, Japanese, French, German. So yeah, she's got some lines.
Well, that sounds strange because Revelator and Rev 2 never got English dubs.
Did they not? I didn't notice. Because
I wish they... I'm a dub guy, to be honest with you.
I play the dubs because I'm not a savage.
I love my dubs. I'm a big dub guy because I follow the actors, right? Like, Caitlin Glass is one of my favorite voice actresses. She's Cammy in Street Fighter, but she does a lot of other really cool shit. So
I can only do dubs for Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. It's the exception to the rule, dude.
Yeah, well, that's also 90s. So the only actor I know from that movie is fucking Breaking Bad. So I don't even know the rest of that cast at all. But that's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I actually do have more to say on Zato, but I'm going to save it. Any final thoughts on Zato before we move on to Ram?
God, I want to be able to use him properly. It's a dream of mine. I would love to be able to fight someone using Zato, and I don't want them to tone him down because the formula works so well. But I do hope that they kind of consider maybe going for a kind of balance. That this, like you said, this is going to be a lot of people's first Guilty Gear game. I hope they give us a Zato that's maybe not quite as challenging to pick up, but still kind of has a bit of an entry barrier. If that makes any kind of sense. I don't want them dumbing him down, though. So
I was watching Flo and Justin Wong play, and it seems like I think you're good. I think you got what you wanted. I think. There's only one reservation I have. The air mix-ups where people are dashing into flight, and then they're attacking the character, and then they do like a double jump and do another. And basically they do 2 air attacks before they go into a ground confirm. I don't know if that shit is real. I think people are gonna be able to poke out of that. If that doesn't work, the character's gonna be at least twice as hard to play, in my opinion. But I think you're gonna be fine. I think if you want to play Zato, you absolutely will be able to. I think he's very reasonable now.
I can play him, just, not well. I haven't had this for a long time. So I worry about the newcomers.
It's interesting we're both on the Zato train, because I don't think I'm going to main him, but for sure him, Anji, and Ram are all going to be. I'm going to take all those characters into the ring. I don't know which one's going to come out on top though, but I like his visuals too much not to use him. I think his gameplay's too interesting now.
God, he looks so sick.
He looks fucking amazing in this game. All right, Ramlethal. I love the redesign. Oh man, do I love this redesign. The face looks better. I thought she looked dumb in Xrd. She looked like waifu Dragon Pope, and they fixed everything I didn't like. Now I think she looks great. Oh man. How do you feel so far?
All right. Did not care for the Valentines in Xrd at all. And I've talked about this in the Discord before. Xrd was a point where the series kind of shed a lot of its more grittier aesthetics, its atmosphere. Like, again, like, you look at a lot of the stages from like the X2 and Guilty Gear X games, and you get stuff like you get various different takes on hell, bloody pools and shit, and a lot of gothic architecture and giant gear demon things nailed to the floor with spikes through their hands and shit, and now Guilty Gear Xrd comes along and it's like waifus everywhere. And not to say that there never were, because Jam is a person that exists. So is May, if that's your kind of thing.
It is now, and Strive is my kind of thing. Yes,
there have always been kawaii girls in Guilty Gear. I'm not saying that there haven't. But XR just kind of, like you said, it got colorful, really pretty, and now we have characters like the Valentines. And I'll say this, if we're going to have a Valentine, I'm glad it's Ram and not the other one. Although I might get the one from Guilty Gear 2.
I guess to add to that, I do like the Valentines, but that's because I'm a giant weeb. Oh my! And I think if I had to guess why Xrd went in that direction, I think Daisuke just
Daisuke was asked about it.
Oh, what did he say?
He said that a lot of it is because he doesn't have time to do all of the he's just kind of like an overseer for a lot of things these days. Think like Ed Boon with Mortal Kombat. So for Xrd, he kind of passed off the duties to other people, and I guess they kind of went in a more traditional anime direction for a lot of things. But he's aware of the change, and I think that that's the reason why Strive kind of looks the way it does, because we're kind of trying to get a bit of that atmosphere back, the grittiness of things, so to speak.
Well, I think I'm wondering if what happened to Daisuke is what happened to me, right? I think one reason why I watch so much anime is because a lot of it is based in just general goodwill and just trying to find the way to be the most altruistic person you possibly can in life. And that's why I think everyone turns good in Guilty Gear Xrd, is because that's where Daisuke is at. I think these characters are like his children, and he wants to see them turn out okay.
He's never been big on having people be straight up evil for the sake of evil. I can think of very few characters in the series that have actually been like that. Almost none.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right on that. Because the sub-boss Testament was just unambiguously evil in the first Guilty Gear, and he immediately is a good guy in the next game, right? So, yeah, no, you're 100% right on that, and I like that. I like that a lot. That no one is evil, they're only damaged, and that is a great way to write a story. And Elfelt, without spoiling anything, because she actually has one of the biggest spoilers in Sign, but that girl was a victim, and I think he's trying to develop soul by putting these victim situations around him, and that's what's making Soul kind of like defrost emotionally. I think that was the writing goal. So it does make sense to me, but like, I just want to give all these characters hugs, and I think that was the writing goal, and it worked. Like Ram and Elfelt specifically, I felt so bad for those characters. When Ram starts crying at the end of Sign, my heart just bleeds open. And I think Daisuke's in the same spot. He just wants to see good people succeed and like damaged people heal. And I think that's a big theme of Xrd. And I think it's easier to do that with female protagonists. I think it's very easy to achieve that. Also, he probably has kids now. And he probably sees his own kids in Elfelt and Ramlathal, probably to some extent. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, honestly, the guy's aging like wine. Like, he looked like a fucking nerd back in the Guilty Gear 1 days. Now he's like this suave, like fucking handsome, like Asian man. It's amazing how well he aged.
But onto her design, though.
Yeah.
I like that not much has changed, but what has is kind of subtle. Things you love are still there. The swords are still there. They're still awesome. The changes, the small ones, are really nice. The hat's less over the top. There's a little clover in there for silliness. I like the leg bandage. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I guess you gotta have the booty shorts. People would complain if she didn't have the booty shorts.
I don't really...
I suppose it's a trademark of sorts.
I'm not really sure what the booty shorts are for, to be honest with you. I mean, other than fan service, I would not have mind seeing that go. Well, if you do her forward one, she literally throws her ass in the air and puts her neck on the ground. It's not subtle. They knew what they were doing. But in the neutral, though, I'm fine with it. I think the cape looks so much better. I hated the dragon teeth on the cape. Even though it's technically still there, it's so much more subtle, right?
It's the subtlety that makes more of it work, yeah.
What are they going to do with her story, though? I don't even know where they're going to start with this character. The sky's the limit.
I have no idea. They could take her anywhere. I don't know what to expect.
I imagine it... If you watch her intros, it could literally be anything. It sounds like she's still just trying to find her purpose. So, I'm almost wondering if this is going to be like a jam thing, where she's not even a major player. She just kind of shows up in the background. But that, I mean, it was kind of a bait and switch, but she was supposed to be the final boss of Sign. And I don't really feel like it worked out that way, but...
Guilty Gear bosses have a bit to live up to these days, I think. And she never came across as like a kind of a really huge challenge to me as far as being a boss goes. She felt to me always like a person who was supposed to be just, part of the roster, but happened to have a giant fuck-off laser cannon like some of us happen to do.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think that's another case where Daisuke, that's probably exactly what Daisuke wanted. I don't think he wanted a grand boss, but... It's unclear if we're going to get one or not either. And I guess I don't have a huge investment in that either. It would be nice if there was a unified villain, but given where Guilty Gear is at tonally, I don't think a big bad even makes sense anymore, to tell you the truth.
Oh, I think one does.
Interesting. I think I know what you're talking about too, but I don't know. There's two, I think you're talking about two characters. One I think is Ino. The other one I think is not Ino.
Is the one I'm talking about is not Ino.
Okay then. All right.
Ino had her time and place as a boss, but I'll get to that. Now as for Ramlathal, she's kind of this whole Navy thing going on. It's kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like an admiral.
There's a lot of "I'm the captain now" memes for Ramlathal.
She is the captain now.
I love it.
Yeah. It's a better design. It's a step up.
God, her cape actually looks like a weapon now, and I love that. Like, before, it just looked like a Halloween costume.
It felt like, I don't know, some sort of Venom symbiote extension thing that was sometimes clothing and sometimes had blades for like, basic moves and shit, you know?
Yeah, just, and the collar looks so fucking good. Man, this character looks sick now. Probably gonna be my main when everything is said and done, but I think the greatest thing about Strive is you can play different characters because you don't have to... I'm learning Jam right now on Xrd, and it just I'm on like day 3, and there's still so many pressure paths I need to experiment with. But yeah, I'm so super happy with this character. Loved her in Xrd. I love her in this game. She only looks better. Yeah, that's all I got to say about Ram. Any final thoughts or?
Not much. I kind of have high hopes for an interesting instant kill. You know? I never got the sense that her original was all that it could have been. Just kind of really generic anime. I'd like to see her do something really fucking cool with those swords.
Yeah, the only real good thing about it is the smile. The smile is really funny, but...
The smile needs to come back.
Yeah.
I don't want her to have mastered the smile yet.
It's too soon. I love it too much.
That's one of my favorite fucking things about this character. Can't smile. Still learning it. When she finally pulls it off, it'll be wonderful. And we'll all be happy for her.
She loves fast food, which is very relatable for me, because I love fast food. So, yeah, I'm all about Ram. I think Ram is fucking great. Shoutouts to Gab, who's the only person who got their fucking character back. Congratulations, Gab. We're all still waiting. All right, now we're switching over to Leo. Leo Whitefang, who I'm going to blow up the community real quick. So everyone was saying there's no way Leo's coming back. And I was just looking at these people thinking like, are y'all insane? He has a huge story presence. He had a very healthy presence in both online play and tournament play. I think he was a big hitter in the recent Evo Top 8 in 2019. He's very fun to play. He looks cool. Everyone knows who he is from Xrd, pretty much. So I thought he was a lock. I never had a doubt for a second Leo wasn't coming back. But most people, at least on the FGC side, did not agree with that. They thought Leo was going to get dunked, but what are your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised you're telling me these things because, as far as it goes for me, I thought that Leo was like the standout new character of Xrd.
Agreed, 100%.
He's over the top. He's fun. He's fun to play as. He's hilarious. And he screams the Guilty Gear spirit.
So I'm not crazy then. Yeah, I feel the same way.
He's got like the importance in the series, story wise. He's got a great unique game style all his own. I thought it was I thought it was for granted he was always going to be back. I don't know how you can think otherwise.
Yeah, even Leo mains were like, nah, we're moving on. He's not coming back. So here he is, right? And I'm glad he's back. He's got the Milia problem. I don't like all the brown and beige. And I don't like the idea that his hair is short, but the fur on his collar of his coat also looks like his hair. That looks bad to me. And that was a problem even in the last game to some extent, but I feel like they should have fixed that. I don't really love his new look. But at least it looks good to me. Like Kai, I just straight up don't like looking at Kai's hair. In this game, although I miss the long hair, I do think it looks good, even if the coat doesn't mesh well with it, right? So, what do you think?
I'm generally with you. Like, he's a bit less balls to the wall crazy, you know? He's less extravagant. And I actually kind of always thought, I suspected, that his facial, that his face and his facial features were kind of modeled on David Bowie. I don't know if you can see it, but I've always been 100% on it.
I'm looking at it now and I see it. I really feel that way about King Daryl. King Daryl just looks like Bowie to me. Like Bowie mixed in with Nash.
When I look at Leo, I think of specifically like 1990, like late 1990s David Bowie. We had like the goatee and shit going on. The facial expressions, the swagger, it's all right there.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm with you on, like, the general outfit. It's workable, but it seems so, I don't know, subdued. It's not wacky enough for him. He just looks like he's, I don't know, out on a crisp fall evening.
I think the colors could have saved it, but you're right. It just looks underwhelming to me. But it's inoffensive, though. I'll say that. It's completely inoffensive. Unlike Melia, where it's just like, I don't like this direction. I think this direction is okay, but it's like, the colors are fucking... Again, take the coat off. He already looks cooler. He's got the fucking, like, black vest. Like, he could have done the whole, like, Jack Sparrow thing. That would have looked sick. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, it just,
You know what it is for me? I think it's the pants.
Let me pull up a picture.
Casual. I'd be okay with everything else if it just wasn't for the pants. Like, coming off of, like, the Exar tights and shit. Pants, the shoes, they're all just so...
They look like my pants. That's the problem. That's pants I would wear. It's not Guilty Gear.
He's kind of almost a Gap model in some ways. I just don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad he kept the swords. I'm really glad he kept the swords. I wouldn't want the swords to go anywhere.
Yeah, swords are great. And
I don't mind that his hair seems to be a bit shorter. Maybe? I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard with all that, like, that collar mane action going on.
Even though...
But it's either the coat or the pants. One of those two things feels like it has to go. I don't know.
I always want long hair, but at least I think this looks good. Like, I think the hair works well. I think, again, with like with Melia, just take the coat off. I think it immediately looks better. He kind of looks fat right now, right? So I don't know. It's this one's a tough one for me. But I like the vest and shit. I like the white collar. The hair would look better if he wasn't covered with so much shit. It still almost looks like he has long hair. That's the problem. Because of the overtop. I call it a fur collar, but I don't know what the fuck that is, if I'm being honest. I have no idea what that is.
It's some kind of collar, some sort of huge thing.
Yeah, so it's all forgivable though. I'm happy to see him back. He's even though I love Leo, he's not one of my favorite characters where it's just like a capital crime if you fuck him up. If you had to fuck someone up, I imagine I'd have to pick Leo. Even though I'm not the biggest Anji fan, although I always reiterate I do like Anji. I may almost like Anji, maybe even a little better than Leo. I would have been more upset if they fucked up Anji's design over Leo's design. Because Anji's been waiting so long to come back, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Leo looks good. I think he's another big question mark for story mode. Because I think he, once again, is going to be a very big character. Because he's tied to too many characters right now. He has an ongoing dynamic with Soul, with Kai, with both Valentines. Yeah, it'd be hard for me to see him not be a prominent character.
He's gonna have something big going on. There's no question about that for me.
I'd agree.
I wonder, like we were talking about Kai before, how casual Kai looks. That's like, did he step down? Is Kai still the king? So, in that respect, I'm looking forward to seeing like what Leo and Kai's relationship is going to be like this time through.
Do you think Leo's still king? The second king?
I feel like, I don't know, maybe for all I know, he's stepping up to be the first, because it seems like, unlike Kai, it's a position that he's really suited to being in. Kai did not become king because he wanted to be king. Kai was basically kind of placed there in a puppet situation, People have leverage over him because, relationship with Dizzy and shit like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of Leo's arc. I think that's why a lot of people like Leo's, because his arc was overcoming his jealousy. Even if it already happened, it still was such a big part of the character. But at the same time, do those look like a king's pants? Does that look like a pair of pants a king would wear?
Well, that's it, right? He's looking totally casual, too. It's hard to say if this reflects where they are in story in any way, shape, or form. It probably doesn't. They
stumped me. That's a good point. I don't know. Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm forgiving pretty much. If they make him like a background character, I'd be very surprised, but I'd live.
Yeah, no way.
If they make him a prominent character, then I'd live. There's no way they're gonna make him evil. He's not smart enough to be evil. But if they do, I'll live. I like Leo, though. I think he should be back.
He's too wholesome to be evil. What are you talking about? Never gonna happen. Look at those eyes.
Yeah, if he did turn evil, he'd fuck it up. The whole thing would just be embarrassing.
The only way Leo gets on the wrong side of anyone is if he's overzealous in his pursuit of justice or some shit, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I think he's a very human character too, despite being kind of dumb. There's a real humanity to him that makes all the jokey stuff kind of work out right. So
he's a blowhard, but he's a blowhard with a heart of gold. Gotta love him.
I'm happy to see him back. Not much else to say about that. Here's another suspicion. I think this design probably will. In a year, I'll probably like this design. I hate to say it, but it seems logical to me that this is going to grow on me. It's almost frustrating, right?
I could see it. It's weird to take in after how extravagant he was in Exard is all. As far as like Exard being this big wacky anime fighter, they really brought him to life in it. So we'll see where this goes.
I also think I'd like it better if Melia wasn't already doing the brown and beige. Like, I feel like we have 2 brown and beige characters. I don't know.
Too much of it going around.
Oh my, this soda's killing me. Yeah, that's all I got on Leo. Anything else before we move on to this name I can't pronounce? Nagoroyuki?
Nagoroyuki.
Let's see. Yeah, there's our guy. The first thing I want to point out is when I first saw him, I was like, he looks okay. Like, this is a soft pass. For a new character, I think he's a good design. This works. I had a change of heart once I played the beta. He looks so good in game. You can see, like, the light refracting off the metal of his mask. The color changes look fantastic. He's huge, but it's not obnoxious. And all his supers and shit animate so well. I love this character now. This character's fucking sick. And even, like, colors aside, assuming this is the only model you can play, the costume looks great. I love the white. It looks so good, and everything pops. And the long-ass hair, like hair should be, I love it. Thoughts?
Love at first sight. The second I first saw him, I was like, this is excellent. This feels like a return to the techno quasi-cyberpunk thing Guilty Gear was really strong in starting out. This is what I've come to expect, or what I want out of a Guilty Gear character. I love everything about him. How ominous and freaky the mask is, the samurai aesthetics, the hair, the color schemes, everything is executed so well. I think he's no joke. Maybe one of the best Guilty Gear characters in 20 years. I love him. He's amazing. Instant legend. That's how I feel. Absolutely. And this is why Slayer's not coming back this game, because we got our vampire boy right here. Don't think we need more than one.
I feel like he's going to be really important too, dude. I feel like he is going to be central to the story, because right now there's a stage that has 3 like deity-looking figures in the background, and they all look like his mask. So I think he's going to be central. I think he's going to be really fucking big in the story.
Oh shit, goosebumps.
If I'm wrong, I'll laugh. Maybe that's just his house and we never see it again. I don't know.
No idea. You know, like in Guilty Gear, very little seems to actually happen without a reason. Unless that reason is just to be batshit crazy. But,
I do agree, but if you look at the extra stages, they're not tied to story mode. They're just whatever they want to be, which is the opposite of Mortal Kombat.
That's true.
So, I don't know. That it gets really interesting on where they could go with this character. I would say if he ends up being nothing, I'm still happy. I still love his design. He seems to be on the good alignment so far. We'll see if that stays.
Man, you know, you could have fooled me with that mask of his. It's freaky in a great way.
He looks like he works for someone for sure. He looks like he is a denizen of some higher power for sure, whether it be good or evil.
I can't love the mask enough. It gives me chills. It's wonderful.
Oh man, and when the way it comes on, it's all like fucking it's all Guyverish. It just looks tight, man. I love it. His gameplay looks good too, but he's also kind of contentious. People are saying he feels incomplete. I disagree with that. I think one of the reasons. Oh, what's that?
You'll have to tell me more, because like I said, I didn't get into it.
Well, I think
I might have to spend like an hour tonight looking at Strive gameplay to see what he's like.
He's interesting. And I think specifically you might appreciate him more because you have a Samurai Showdown background, right? So people are saying he feels incomplete, but I think it's the opposite. I think one of the reasons why Daisuke wanted a simplified version of Xrd, he didn't want to make the game crazy, is so he can make certain styles, like Nagoroyuki style, possible. And he basically plays like a stationary samurai character. He feels like he has the pace of a Sam Show character, where he's not jumping all over the place, but he has very good range, and he uses his specials to move around. I don't think he has a dash. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but he moves with his specials, I believe. And like Otacon is saying right now, he hurts like a motherfucker. I'll put my cards on the table. I'm not super sure how his blood gauge works, other than most people don't seem to like it. It sounds like if you don't monitor your blood gauge, it fucks you in the match. And I think that's what people are actually upset about. But I did not get an incomplete vibe from him at all. I got, this is his style, like it or not. It's like, I always blow up the NRS community because they say Scarlet is bad. I don't think Scarlet is bad in MK11. I think people just don't want to do her game plan. They don't want to play her the way she's supposed to be played. They want to do all the bullshit they can do with Jackie or the top tiers, or they want to zone like Cetrion. That is not the character. And I think that's what's going on right here. But A+, massively good character.
I think that maybe a lot of people might feel that sometimes you do need a bit more of a basic character, that not everyone needs to have two stances or a gimmicky sort of independent bar for masochism or blood or amount of minions on screen. I think that people might be getting tired of that and, maybe hoping for a new character who's just, straight up special moves. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I'm a bit bummed to hear he has a blood meter, but I'm not surprised. I suppose I'll learn to live with it. I mean, I play Raven too, after all, so.
Yeah, well, Ravens, I think, is a lot better, honestly. I think they did a better job on Ravens. Even as someone who likes Nagoroyuki's playstyle and someone who likes the ideas in the character, even I think they need to tweak the blood gauge. Because Raven actually is a very successful... he's a very successful tournament character. He's very dangerous. He's got probably some of the best mix-ups in the game. But I don't... I will agree that when all is said and done, I don't think Nagoroyuki is going to be high tier. But I think that's okay. I don't... I feel the same way about Axel. Axel seems solid mid right now with some really bad matchups. But I don't think Axel is going to be bad. I think he's exactly where he needs to be. I feel the same way with this character right here. So, if he's good, great. I think having an S tier character is worse when people hate finding the S tier character. Like, Cyrax was S tier in MK9. But I would argue he's possibly better than Cabal in MK9. But I didn't hate fighting Cyrax. I hated fighting Cabal. I hated fighting Kung Lao, who was not nearly as good as Cyrax. But I fucking hated fighting Kung Lao. You gotta make sure... There's a whole video from Giuna saying why Baiken should never be top tier. And it makes the game super not fun. Because you feel like you can't do anything. Because even when you're right, you're still wrong.
I can already see it.
Yeah, so no one wants to deal with that, right?
I don't even know how the fucking tiers in Xrd were at the end of it, but the thought of a high tier Baiken is a scary one indeed. What are you fucking
She's
doing?
A. I would say she's like right outside the top 10. She's very strong. And I think that's where she should be. I would not want a top 5 Baiken, but I might be okay with a top 5 Nagoroyuki. I think I might be alright with that. So we'll see. A+. Super, super happy he's in the game now. I did not always feel that way. At first I thought he was like, yeah, he's cool. I mean, to be fair, that's how I feel about most new characters in anything. No, I do not feel that way. I'm super glad to have him in the game now. Could not be happier.
Really looking forward to spending time with him.
So that brings
us...
What's that?
Rest in peace. Best guy in 20 years. Like I said, I am fucking hyped for him.
Yeah, visually, yes, I agree. He is the best looking new character I think we've had since the 2000s. Very happy with him so far. The next character is interesting. Okay, so now we're moving on to Giovanna, although no one calls her that. She's Gio. Everyone calls her Gio. You're not a Giovanna main, you're a Gio main. It's not a good thing, by the way. People need to practice saying full names. Like, it's such a lazy thing to call her. Giovanna's a beautiful name. Although Gio's not a bad name, her name's not fucking Gio. Although in a year I will probably only call her Gia. We'll see. Okay, so this one's interesting because I think if you're going to do a fan service character, this is a great way to do it. It's a healthy balance where it's not obnoxious. But her idle animation is her sticking her ass out, and people are like, well, it's because the dog's on her back. Maybe, but she's still, yeah. It's fine. It's not a big problem. It's not even a problem at all. I do not plan on playing this character mostly for gameplay purposes, but I do think she's cool. I think she's Brazilian. There's not a lot of dog, though. I was kind of disappointed at the severe lack of dog. So,
I don't know what to make of her. Really, I don't. Nothing is, like, really jumping out at me. It's not a bad design, but I keep looking at her, I'm like, this is a King of Fighters character.
Yeah.
That's
quite
all
literally.
it is. It's a King of Fighters character with a big dog.
Yeah.
I want to be excited about it, but I don't know if I am yet. I have nothing to say about her. I'm just totally... hasn't captivated my interest. Not yet, anyway.
She's pretty much every KOF female thrown into a wine cask, right? And that's okay. She's very low-key. Her costume is low-key. Her hair is low-key. Her moveset is not low-key until you play it and realize there's barely any dog. Like, she's mostly kicks. Again, KOF, right? The dog is very subdued. Like, there's not a lot of dog shit going on. And that's okay. But I will say she's beautiful, though. And she animates very well. Again, they fixed female faces so well in this game, right? No one's, like, chin looks like a triangle anymore. It's all of that's been visually fixed. I mean, I give her a pass. Like, I'm not going to play her, probably. I don't think her gameplay is very interesting, honestly. The pressure stuff could be cool. I don't know. I don't want to say underwhelmed, because I think in a vacuum, she's fine. In a vacuum, green dogs are cool, especially when they do cool energy shit. But I don't know. I can't help but to feel like I want to say underwhelmed, but I don't want to say underwhelmed, because I don't think there's anything bad about her. I am, but I just told I'm underwhelmed. I want to be more interested, but I'm just not seeing it yet. Sorry. I wonder if you have the same concern that I do, that she's going to be like Answer, where she's going to be a bodyguard and she's going to have like maybe 7 minutes of screen time and we're never going to see her again. Yeah, there is that. I'd like her to be important, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's not. I'd like to know what the deal with the dog is. What's up with the symbol on his head? I'm sure they'll find ways to make her really interesting. I'm sure she's fascinating. There isn't a Guilty Gear character I can think of that hasn't been fascinating in some way. But I've just, this is Guilty Gear, and I've seen so much more. I don't know, honestly. Having a big dog alone doesn't do it. Yeah, and I am not above fan service at all, right? That is one of my biggest praises. I think this is the healthiest amount of fan service without getting obnoxious. Like, because Rambla was obnoxious, and she still kind of is, but I like the character enough where I'm okay with it. This is balanced. This looks like a real person, mostly. The suspenders look kind of cool, too. Gives her, like, a Chicago Mafia vibe. I guess what's going to make her story interesting just depends on who she's protecting. Because everyone right now seems to think it's Chip. But would you be pissed if that was true? Because what was the whole point of Answer then, right? That's something to think about, isn't it? I do feel like Chip needs to have more people in his corner and make his little nation more of a presence, yeah. But it is a thing when you've already got that specific character in Answer. You're just swapping out one thing for another. And Answer's design I was very mixed on, too. I think she looks better than Answer, to be fair. Didn't hate Answer. I like the idea of a salaryman ninja accountant. I do like the idea, too. She's really entertaining, I give him that. I guess I just need to see a lot more of her. I'm not going to write her off yet, but, Answer had a lot of potential, and I'm surprised he made it into Rev 2 over other characters. I I feel honestly the same way about both these characters. I think she looks a little better than Answer overall. I think Answer's like mask, but you can still see his face is kind of weird. The big ponytail was okay. His gameplay was fucking weird. Pot is actually an Answer main, I believe. Or at least that's who we used whenever I played Pot. I don't know. It's tough. It's super tough. Okay, here's a theory. Maybe she is Answer. And Answer was actually a girl this whole time disguising himself for, like, reasons. Like, that would be hilarious.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but man, I would laugh. Oh, Randy's got a bio for us. So she protects the USA president.
Ah, okay.
Is that Chip? I don't know if his nation and the USA are, like...
No, he founded his own nation.
Okay, then.
That's interesting. I wonder if we're actually going to get to meet the president. She's actually got a dog paw, the sole of her shoe. It's a nice little touch. She does a lot of kicking with him.
Yeah. I haven't seen that till now. That's interesting.
Is the dog sentient, or is it like a program or something, I wonder? That'd be neat.
We don't know what if instant kills are in the game or not, so I wonder if that's going to sell me on the character, if she has this really sick instant kill. I guess all this is summarizing to one thing. I think everything about the character is cool. I just do not emotionally respond to the character. I guess that's all I'm really saying.
I'm not writing her off yet because, you know, there's usually always a lot more to Guilty Gear characters than meets the eye. If I'm just looking at Kum Hyun, I'm seeing basically Goken in another game. But there's a girl inside that Goken. It's a robot Goken. So maybe there's a lot more to her that I don't know yet.
And that girl is funny, too. Like, Kum is hilarious. I love that character. Like, when shit goes wrong and she gets ejected from her own old man robot, I fucking love that. She also looks really cool. I love the purple hair with the white streaks. It looks so badass.
Wonderful design inside and out.
God, Kum should have returned. Little trivia. I have not made my top 5 list. I'm making it as we do this video. So I'm going to surprise myself. Kum might be on it. I don't know. So, yeah, that's all I really got to say about Giovanna. Cool enough. Very beautiful. We'll see what the lore does for her, though. Okay, here's a... What's up?
Agreed.
Here's a big one. Anji fucking Mito. The guy who lost me $10 fucking dollars. So, yeah. I'll let you go first on this guy.
I missed him. I really did. But you know what? He took a game off. I think he needed to take a game off, and now he's back. He's got a lot to prove, and I'm so fucking happy.
I don't even disagree with any of that. I think he did need to come back. I think my only problem with Anji is the roster size. I think even in a game with like 19 characters, I would have been fine with Anji. Even if 2 more of those characters were new characters, I just think with Testament and Zappa off the table, Anji felt like a slap in the face to me, even if I do like the character. I love Wind. I love fans. That's not a substitute for Testament, right?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy here, because Testament is one of my favorites. If it's a choice between Anji and Testament, yes, I'm going to choose Testament. But I thought that Anji drastically needed a redesign too, and I always felt he was coming back, and he looks so fucking good. He looks amazing. Everything about it.
Well, there's a bigger presence to him. The fans seem huge in this game. He looks like elegant. The stripper glasses look cooler now than they did before.
Stripper glasses?
Well, I just call him that because he looks like a guy who doesn't work. He looks like a porn star trying to look smart. That's what Anji looks like to me. That's okay. I think that's funny. I wouldn't change it. But he actually looks like a scholar now, right?
You know, he always did look like a scholar to me. People are always making these jokes about how he looks like a male stripper, and I've never specifically... I've seen, like, a mixed scholar and a dancer, but people just go stripper, and I die every time.
People called him the male equivalent of Mai. That's what a lot of people say Anji is, and I kind of see it. And you know what?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I'm glad something like that exists. And I love wind powers. His Okazemi is historical in how dirty his anti-wake up game is. I'm glad to see all that back. And you know what? Justin Wong was making a tier list and saying this was like before we even saw the Anji demonstration, and he's like, Ino and Anji top tier. I don't care. They're top. We already know they're top tier. It doesn't matter. If the butterfly is in the trailer, he's gonna be top tier.
Those butterflies. Oh.
I agree 100%. I think Anji's gonna be disgusting. I'd be very surprised if he's outside the top 5. Very surprised.
He's always like Sly, a great character. Never the kind of person you'd expect to be with like the style, like never the type of like fighting game character you would expect to be like up there with the best, but holy fuck can he ever jab with them. If you know how to use Anji right, you're fucking lethal. A good Anji gives you trouble.
And that's the people who are most hyped to see him back were like the old like the accent core boomers. Like they were super hyped. Everyone else was like, really? And
fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck you.
I liked the character, and I was like, really? I think
always going to happen.
Here's another. There's one thing that kind of works against him, though. In the story, he's kind of douchey. I feel like he kind of does Biken dirty.
The thing about Anji is, he's just kind of out there to get the most out of life and like see things for the sake of seeing them and like live his best life. That's Anji as a character. Everyone else who wants to go like meet the gear maker, that man, they've all got like revenge motivations, power motivations and shit. Anji just wants to talk to the guy. So why'd you do what you did? Why are you like this? Makes you tick. What's under that dress? That's the kind of guy Anji is. And he's fun and he's funny like that. He's this utterly fucking carefree spirit. And, you know, I enjoy that. We were missing that attitude. And I think that tying him to Biken was a really, really good idea back in the day. And I'm glad that they still have that connection.
Well, I think it's weird that Biken's not in the game, but Anji is. I think that was a strange choice, but...
Biken's not going to be not in this game for long. Biken's coming back. There is no way in hell Biken is missing this.
I think she's part of the rotation. I think there's a group of 4 characters, and I think 2 of the 4 are going to make it. I think Biken is in there, but I don't... Daisuke's weird, man. Daisuke is super fucking weird. Like, you can't predict him. And he will do things to spite you, which is kind of what I like about Daisuke. He's so uncompromising, which is probably why the Guilty Gear lore is as good as it is, because he doesn't give a fuck what you think. But Otacon just literally beat me to it. If Biken shows up in Sam Show, I think it's over for Biken this season. I think she'll be back eventually, but I don't think she's going to be S1 pass.
No, it's going to be sooner. It's going to be later. It's just going to happen. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I feel like she is a lock for Samurai Showdown. Why would you pick someone else who isn't her in Samurai Showdown?
Randy was saying it might be Axel because of the time travel. That's interesting to me.
I feel like that doesn't work with... No, I really feel like that doesn't work with Sam Show.
Is that weapon represented in Sam Show, though?
Not that I'm aware... Well, Basara's kind of got some stuff on chains.
Yeah, that's true. Also a pot character. Damn, I fought so much of that.
But anyway...
Anji's popularity is mostly in Japan. When they polled the 4 regions, he didn't make any of the lists except Japan. In Japan, he got number 9. So that base is out there. And I think, here's the thing. It's not that people don't like Anji. People don't like him enough to vote for him on the polls. When I voted for the polls, I knew exactly who I wanted. Only I added Rambla because I knew she might skip out. And I was doing that for Gab, and I've regretted it ever since. Even though I do like Rambla now. I love you, Gab. I'm joking. 100%. But I just don't think anyone liked him enough to put him in their list, except for Japan. So what's weird is Biken... That's the only region where Biken is not popular. Biken got number 1 in North America, number 1 in Europe, number 1 in Asia, number 7 in Japan. So she's only 2 slots above Anji, so... I guess that makes sense. Like, if there's a cowboy character, I wouldn't vote for him, right? So, yeah, I guess Japan feels the same way. I think they're samurai'd out. I don't know. It's interesting. Rambla thought got number 3 in Japan. I did not see that coming. She did okay on the other lists, like a lot of number 6s, a lot of number 7s.
Who was their number 1?
In Japan?
Yeah.
Bridget.
Nice.
Doesn't get more Japanese than Bridget, man.
Yes. My people. No, just not. But we agreed.
What's hilarious though, Asia, Europe, and North America had the same top 3. Biken, Johnny, Dizzy. All 3. Actually, Europe and Asia don't even have different lists. They had the same order. North America had some deviance. Testament only made Asia and Europe. Testament did not make North America. I couldn't believe that. It's super weird. I'm sure he was close. He would have been like number 12 at the lowest, but yeah, he got number 10 in Europe and number 10 in Asia. So that's something. Zappa, I don't think showed up on any list. I think Zappa is just I think he's like Fujin. If you love him, you love him.
Cult character.
He's a very specific flavor. I can see why Zappa would. You and I are horror movie fans to some extent, so I think we can relate to Zappa.
He loves Zappa for these reasons, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot to love about him, but I think for other people, they're either going to be creeped out by it, or they're like, I don't get it. I don't. Why is there a heart on his chest? Why is there an Asian girl? I don't get this.
Gameplay perspective too.
Yeah,
I can't see him as being appealing to like the entire community because he's a character that requires a certain amount of huge risk factor and just fucking plain simple luck.
Zappa had more screen time than 2/3 of the extras roster and still was not playable.
What was that? That made me angry.
I mean, okay, so here's my only theory. Daisuke is like, well, I want Zappa back, but Zappa's super hard to play. He's not beginner friendly, and I don't want because I like my own characters. I don't want to see Zappa suffer for another game. So we got to heal him and take away his powers, but I want to keep him around as a character. So I think it was just a matter of, in order to make Zappa playable, he has to be still tormented. I think Daisuke was sick of tormenting his own character. Harada once said that the Tekken characters are like his children. And I think that goes double for Daisuke. And you probably just didn't want to see, like, Zappa writhe in pain for another 6 years, right? So that's my theory.
That said, I do wish that we'd gotten some sort of resolution to the whole Esco ghost situation. Because we never really did. We just kind of like time jumped, and it's like, you know, he talked with Faust about it, and he's generally kind of okay now. I don't remember us ever having a resolution.
I also...
like, clearly, like, his experiences got him to where he was, to being part of, like, this paranormal bureau that works for the government, but is that ghost still around? I no one knows.
Well, that's the tough part too, because I didn't want a resolution to be like, oh, Zappa's not haunted anymore. I don't think that's really. I think there was something adorable there between him and the ghost, and I kind of wanted to see that resolve. I wanted both. Zappa's 2 characters. He's more than that, but specifically, like, it's him and I can't remember her name, but the ghost girl. So
Sadak, well, Esco. They call her Esco.
Although there's
also, speaking of some funny fan theories.
Yeah, I was about to say that same thing.
Yeah, that it was actually Megumi, the girl that Axel left behind.
That opens a whole fucking can of worms, man.
That's a big one.
Do we think that's true? I don't know if I buy that, though. Is there any...
Now that Axel's not just a time traveler, but kind of a dimension hopper, I don't think it's possible.
And if it was possible, is that interesting?
Yeah.
Like, you know, do we want Esco to be Axel's Megami?
I don't think we do anymore. I don't think it's possible anymore. I don't think we're ever going to see her again, sadly.
Well, Megami or Esco?
Either.
Well, I'd like the Esco dynamic, because she's a tsundere, right? Like, that's fun.
I feel like if we ever see Megumi, it's because Axel's done. And it's the end of the series. And he's back home. That's the only way. Well,
Megumi I'm willing to let go, but Esco not so much. I think there is still dramatic room for Esco to thrive. So I'd be sad if we never saw Esco again. Megami, I could live.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he was done with Zappa the same way he was done with Cliff and apparently Testament. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think... See, that's the thing. I don't think he is done with Zappa. I think he's done with Ghost Zappa or Haunted Zappa. But I think he really does like Zappa as a character, though. I don't know. It's interesting. Okay, here's another way you could do... I'm sorry, Anji Mito. We'll get to you in a minute,
How
dude.
about that Anji Mito? How about it?
I guess here's how I would do it. Let's say the conflict escalates and Zappa's like, all right, I need to step in, but I can't fight the way I am now. And he recruits the ghosts on his own terms. That would be sick, in my opinion. That would be a great story.
Yeah, same. I don't hate him, being possessed again, but I'd like it. I'd like for him to actually have some measure of say in the situation. That would be nice.
Well, he wouldn't be, like, contorted anymore. He wouldn't be possessed. He'd use the ghosts as like summons, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know. I mean, I don't know. I'd expect a certain amount of contortion, but on his terms.
Well, it's a gameplay fix too, because he doesn't have to worry about the clock anymore to use his moves. It's not like just randomized is the wrong word, but he can actually use his moves on command when he wants to, and that fits Strive's simpler gameplay, where you're not kind of bound by this mechanic that is super unintuitive. Now Zappa can just do cool shit when Zappa wants to do cool shit, right? And because it's on a recruitment basis, he doesn't have to have every ghost. He can have 3. He's not a hotel anymore, right? So
I think that now you're basically limiting the Rao mode to being a super move only.
Maybe. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. We both love Zappa. I think I've not met anyone who's like, I'm not a Zappa guy. Maybe they're out there. I have not met them. I think most people just don't know enough to vote for him. That's really what I think happened.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Anji, I'm glad you're back, dude. I think you look great. I dig your glasses. I like that you're disguising your hairline. I know what's going on there, Anji. You're not fooling anybody.
Probably. I'm actually glad he lost that stupid bandage on top of his head. I don't know what was up with that. I have no clue if that's like a dancer garment or something, but it just looked like he came out of the hospital, and I was never been a fan of the head bandage. I'm glad it's gone.
I don't remember it, to be honest with you. I'd have to Google it. It's been too long. Although, when I find that picture, I'll show it to you after the episode. There is a picture of Anji with a fucked up hairline. It's great.
Sweet.
So yeah, overall positivity. I'm glad to have Anji Mito back. I think he's really sick overall. 0 complaints. He was not on my priority list, right? I wanted Testament and Zappa, and even some extra new characters. Like, I've always been against bringing characters in just so you can throw them away. I would have taken Coom over Anji, honestly, but Anji inherently is not bad, and I love Wind. I'm always going to love Wind characters, dude. And
I'm looking forward to keeping people pinned down with butterflies. That's going to be good times.
I think you're going to see a lot of that. You may see too much of that. The beta we played was about 3 to 4 months old, give or take. So it's probably going to be cleaned up a lot when we finally play the final version. But Anji's not in the beta, right? So all his shit's not going to get fixed, most likely. That's scary. That's really... People are worried about Strive being a mess when it comes out balance-wise, but frankly, I mean, Giuna said it best as well. Like, every vanilla fighting game is broken. Vanilla Street Fighter 4 was fucking broken. Like, it's fine.
It's inevitable. It's a part of the release. It's a part of the release life.
We're going to learn the dirt. They're going to patch it. That's why...
thing I'm wondering about, actually.
Yeah?
Side note before we move on from Anji. So the fans he's wielding, they're part of a series of, like, unique items. I think they're called... I think the fans specifically are called the Zessen. And the Guilty Gear world, they're, like, up there as really, really powerful magical items, along with, like, Kai's Thunder Seal and Saul's Fire Seal and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're supposed to be these really huge really powerful machines with, like, the potential to destroy this and that and whatnot. And, you know, that's kind of been a bit of a forgotten lore tidbit over the ages. But I wonder if Daisuke might be bringing that back. Those fans might have a use. We'll see. I'm curious. I'm always curious about those fans whenever he's bringing them out.
I'm open to it. Daisuke does not seem to forget things. He's pretty good about that. Usually. I can't think of any exception. But
Let me look this up.
all the big examples I can think of, they're all pretty large spoilers, but generally
Okay, yeah.
he's good about that.
Soul made those fans.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Fun bit of trivia.
Huh.
They are meant to channel and amplify wind magic. Oh,
Yeah,
but no. They were not meant to be used as weapons, but to create and maintain the dimensional barrier that surrounds the Japanese colony. And Angie stole them.
That jerk face. Living his best life, my ass. But I mean, I think in a good story mode, you want a character who's a little bit of a douche, because that's real life, right? And you can be a good guy, but also be kind of a douche. There can be a duality there, right? We'll see.
I do like him a lot because, like I said, he was the only character to actually go and talk to that man and find out, so what's your deal? Why does everyone want to kill your ass so bad? Now he's on the other side of that, and we've seen more dimensions to the Gear Maker than we did before, when he was just this ominous, potentially evil presence that started, the Crusades that killed millions of people.
And I wonder, he probably learned things we didn't learn till Lexerd, most likely, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to playing him. He's in my top 3 characters I'm going to try, just because I do like my favorite roster is GGX. I mean, you can pick Accent Core, but that's fucking cheating. I mean, in terms of, debut rosters, with the new characters that show up, I love the Guilty Gear X roster, so I do have a soft spot for him, but... Alright, time for Eno. I'll let you start on this one, actually. I think you have more to say than I do.
Alright. Eno's time as a boss is done. She's not about to be the last boss ever again, and she can't be. It'd be like trying to make M. Bison a last boss again. It would feel gimmicky, and Guilty Gear just typically doesn't do that kind of thing. Like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with Eno. A huge one. Because I have endless memories of Megalomaniac destroying my ass. Oh my god. To this day, the Midnight Carnival theme song still gives me goosebumps. I still feel like at any particular moment, I have to get ready to just either jump over an immense forward-surging wave of musical bullshit, move under a DNA string of musical bullshit. God, I hate fighting this character so much in boss form. Fuck you. I love you. You're the best. You're my waifu.
Which Guilty Gear was that, out of curiosity? The one that made you struggle the most?
X2.
X2.
I never I played some fucking SNK. I played SNK games, I'm familiar with SNK boss bullshit. But she was just so much fun to fight, despite all the bullshit. I hate her, but I love her,
She's so cool. She's so fucking cool.
She's the absolute best.
And she's obviously, in terms of fan service, she's 10 out of 10. But I think the key to good fan service is you gotta make them cool as well. It's like Psylocke. Psylocke is the icon of making sexy still be cool. You don't want it to be fucking, what's a good-ass example? Nitara, I think, is a good example of fan service gone wrong. Even though I like that character. I think that character kind of almost looks cool, but it's just a bikini vampire in a cape.
It pretty much is. Or kiss boots.
Yeah, that's right. With the Gene Simmons makeup and the alt. It's, that is not Eno. Eno looks tight. And I like her new I will say, I wish I could merge her old costume with her current one. Because I do like the dress better than the vest. Well, you could argue it's almost the same costume, just kind of reconfigured. But, I really like the old one. But this one is good enough. This is a redesign where it doesn't really matter if I like the old one better. This works. This looks good. And it shows the character's personality. I don't love the glasses as much as without the glasses, but I think it's more important she looks different than she looks better to me. I think that the change is what we missed out on with Potemkin. And Chip is hard. He did change technically, but not... Yeah, so I think this is good. I think this is hella workable.
think the hat's a bit too wide, although it might just be the art style. I don't know. It just looks so really it looks so very exaggeratedly large, a bit comical. But I suppose I can deal. I'm glad they didn't fuck with the guitar. The guitar's perfect. Don't touch it.
It's pretty big. I'm gonna clip you the Eno hat right now. It's oh, sorry, audience. It's not like, I mean, honestly, if you look at the render, that's about right, dude. If you look at gameplay chat, like, it's a pretty big fucking hat. It doesn't fuck around.
It always has been.
Yeah.
But I feel like this time more than any other depiction, it really shows how huge the fucking thing is.
I can't tell, man. I'd have to put them next to each other because I don't remember it being that big, but it looks really big right now. So I'd have to put them next to each other, I think.
Anyway, other sides of things. I'm liking how hippie it is. There's a lot of hip going on. I am not complaining. I'm kind of weak to waifu territory here, just a little bit.
Yeah, she's groovy as fuck. I like it. I think I had to see story mode to know for sure, but I think the one thing I'm certain of is when I didn't know who the 15th character was, I'm like, it's got to be someone safe. It's got to be someone really cool who isn't, like Kai is cool, but Kai is Kai. It needs to be someone interesting and hopefully, like, X2 or X, right? So I'm so relieved it was Eno, dude. Eno was the color this game needed. The roster was way too plain, in my opinion. Eno saved the roster from being like a C to like a B+, right? I think she helps so much. She adds so much flavor to the roster, right? And no one dislikes Eno. I've never met anyone who doesn't like Eno.
If you don't like Eno, you don't have a fucking soul. In some ways, she's like the musical avatar for the Guilty Gear franchise. I feel like she's probably like in Daisuke's top 3.
You know what's funny about Eno? She got 6th place on every list except for one country, and that was Japan. The only list she did not rank. I don't get it.
At all in Japan. Period.
Yeah, wow. Other than that, she is undisputably top 6 in every other region. She is super fucking popular. Yeah, it's believe it or not, a character that's also really fucking popular is Elfelt. Elfelt did really well in the polls, and Japan really likes Elfelt.
Oh god, of course.
I like Elfelt on paper. I think she's really sweet, and I like the thing between. I like the trio of my cord. I like the trio of Ram, Elfelt, and Sin. I think that is a really fun time, right? But she's not better than Eno. At least not yet. Elfelt could really grow into someone cool. Give her a better design and something better to do in the story other than be like the maiden in distress. Although she's a very good maiden in distress. But she needs more. I have gameplay problems with her too, but she's not Eno is what I'm saying.
Ditch the waifu wedding shit and I'm fine with her coming back. That's all I'm saying.
At least make it look better. The wedding dress kind of made sense inside, but after that, it was kind of weird. So Eno's great. She saved the roster, in my opinion.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing where she's going, also story-wise, because she's at a really interesting place at the end of Xrd. Really interesting. Like, as in, this is what I actually am. Interesting. Oh my god, I've been wasting my time. Kind of interesting. Who the hell am I aligning myself with? Interesting. I feel like she's about to be up to some bad shit.
Well, that's kind of, I think, one of the weakest parts of Rev 2. And, okay, this is a spoiler. Like, I can't sugarcoat it. I can't talk about the thing I'm about to talk about if I don't spoil it. And it's not even that big of a spoiler. I think people would probably see this coming. But what was that man thinking when he released Eno back into the wild? What was... I hope he had some interest. What's that?
It's a Megatron Starscream situation is what it is. Why do you do this? It's not going to help you. It doesn't have your best interests at heart.
I just assumed that the reason why he had Eno at his disposal to begin with was not just because... I mean, I'm sure she was somewhat useful, especially for, like, matters of force. But I thought he did it because it is safer to have Ino next to me than it is to have Ino out there. And that is how he justified it. He didn't want to kill her because it seems like all the evidence points to that man is ultimately a good person who wants to do the right thing. So why the fuck did he release Ino back into the wild? I don't get that at all.
He's never... The Gear Maker has never been a cruel or malicious person, ever. We established that, like, from Guilty Gear X onwards. And I believe that's totally it. Like, he wants her where he can keep an eye on her, and because she can be very useful to him. That's his deal with her.
I think he has a contingency plan for Ino, and I think that is how the game is going to end. We're supposed to think that man just sent Ino on her way to live, you know, the way Ino wants to live, and when she starts fucking shit up, at the very end, it'll probably be a Deus Ex Machina, but it'll be a well-designed one. And that contingency is how the game is going to end, and that man is going to have some sort of backup. That is what I think is going to happen, but I'm not sure.
He always knew what she was, what she could do, and she's not going to be pleased to know all the things about herself she now knows that were being hidden from her. Oh man, it's going to be really interesting seeing those two interact. I really wonder what she's going to be up to. She's a loose cannon is what she is now. She's a really powerful loose cannon.
Yeah, well, I think that's one reason. All that is true, and I think she'll make a good final boss if she is the final boss. I am hoping she has some good character relationships, though. I hope she doesn't get caged into the boss role where she can't have fun with the other cast outside of Sol and Kai. That's my only worry. That's my only concern.
Don't forget Axel.
Oh, Axel, yeah. Well,
her and Axel, I think, are leading up to something huge.
I feel like we already got that, though. I kind of would like to see her hang out with, like, I don't know. It's the character I was going to pick is too late because he's kind of dead. But maybe, like, can't say Raven. That we've also had that.
No.
What
Raven,
characters are in this game? I'm sorry, go on.
Raven, I think, it might be done for now. I could see him as a potential future DLC character, but he's really in my maybe pile.
He's very popular with women. A lot of the VTubers were thirsting over Raven. Well, by a lot of them, I mean one. But
look at that. Just one? What's wrong with him? Look at that face.
I think most of them just aren't Guilty Gear fans. Like, she actually was a fan. Like, she actually, like, knows a lot of the lore and knows the characters and the music. But she's a fan. And Raven is just cool because, you know, you empathize with him. You kind of... They do a good job of illustrating his struggle and where he comes from, so you can kind of feel his journey.
I think his journey is the only thing he wants you to feel.
Yeah, that's why everyone likes him, man. You can't not like Raven. You don't even need to know anything about Raven to like him. You look at Raven, he's cool. He's just cool.
Beautiful bastard.
So, but I don't really want to see more Ino Raven. Although, I guess maybe I'm overstating this. There really wasn't a lot of Ino Raven at all in Xrd. But it's there, but it's all implied. So, I don't know. Ino took such a backseat in those games.
Well, I think it's only temporary.
I agree.
I think she kind of had to because she had such a major role in the X2 games. But now might be a time to shine a little bit more, maybe for the last time. We'll see.
I think Daisuke probably knew that for post Revelator 2, that Ino was going to be the next thing. And that's probably why we didn't see too much of her. Hey there, guys. Thank you so much for listening so far. That concludes part 1 of our Guilty Gear Strive series. This was not originally going to be multiple parts. I strongly underestimated how much we had to talk about, which is a good problem to have. There will be another episode soon. Stay tuned. We will be discussing our predictions as well as our wish list for Guilty Gear Strive. So I hope you guys tune in. Thank you so much. You all take care.